in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Embarrassing beyond belief last night. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. That was a doozy. There was a game where a team lost worse than this earlier in the season. That was the Dolphins-Denver Broncos game, 70-20. Last night, what the Chargers did with a no-show, quitting on the field against the Raiders, Perloff, was even worse.
Well, okay, that is true. But I was impressed that they tacked on 21 meaningless points and hit all the overs on their offensive numbers. So it did actually. The funny thing is, you actually walked away from that game being like, well, you know what? Easton Stick had a couple long touchdown passes, a couple nice throws there at the end. So it could have been worse because I think if the Raiders wanted to win that game 95-0, make it a historic game, did you feel like they could have? They kind of took their foot off the gas.
Well, when they ran a trick play when they were already up 52, I was like, well, they're really going for blood on this one.
I think their last two touchdowns were defensive. So they did slow down on offense a little bit. I mean, Aiden O'Connell, I'm a little disappointed they did. They could have gone Miami and hit 70 for sure.
Yeah, and that would have been listen, it was all insult to injury. But here's what I want to say. You know, we can talk about the Raiders side of this and how meaningful that may have been or was a little fool's gold. We'll get to the Raiders part of this. But for the Chargers and to be on the bad end of this embarrassing loss, Perloff, I actually still believe in this Chargers roster. I mean, call me crazy, and they were awful last night, but they were awful because they are not inspired. They have nothing to play for. It's 1-2-3 Cancun for this team. And with the right coach and a change of philosophy and culture, I think this team is still a sleeping giant. I'm not selling my stock on the Chargers at all.
How many years you need to see this talented core of the Chargers let you down until you will sell that stock? What are we talking? Does it have to be 6 years, 8 years, 10 years?
I'll get back
and
to
is
you.
a new coach? Is it a new coach or a new medical staff? Because whoever comes in, you have to tell them up front. Listen, all these great players you have, they're not going to be there by week 14. So your ability to coach third string guys is the key thing for the Chargers, because you look at this roster and you see the stars, of course, but what makes you think Joey Bosa will ever be on the field when it counts? What makes you think that the offensive line will stay healthy? What makes you think that Keenan Allen's going to play into his 40s? I mean, they are old and injury prone.
Okay, they have no depth. I'll give you that. And the guys have been hurt. But if you can actually put together a good draft, you could supplement some of this really high-priced talent where they brought in Khalil Mack and Sebastian Joseph Day and these guys who they paid quite a bit for, and that's how you do this thing, right? That's how really good teams do it. You don't use free agency to build the team. You use it to supplement the team, and you actually build your core through the draft. And guys just got old. Like, that's not a crime to get old. You get old, and it's unfortunate for the wide receivers, but you still have the ultimate weapon in Justin Herbert. Listen, I get on Justin Herbert because I'm like, win a game, for goodness sakes. You know, you got the ball in your hands with 2 minutes left to go. Just go win a game once in a while. But, like, let's be fair. He still is an elite talent. You see some of the quarterbacks around the league, like, it's bleak at times, and you do have a Ferrari. He's just sitting in the garage.
He does have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, to be fair, because every single game the Chargers are in it. So he's one of those. He's like Matthew Stafford in Detroit. Everything is a fourth quarter comeback or a fourth quarter disappointment because the Chargers find a way to get into every game. Yeah, I just think that we're fooling ourselves. We see Khalil Mack is going to turn 33. We see Joey Bosa. We see Derwin James, the most talented safety in the league, is such a knucklehead, has so many bad penalties that kill the team. I mean, you name a talented player, there's a flaw, except for Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler is obviously at the end. The stars just, they can't, they're done. They're toast. They're finished. You saw it. What you saw last night, the core of that roster is rotten.
Right. Okay. I can't disagree with you on a day when they're coming off a loss that was 63-21. However, I still think whenever it's a tough spot. I got my back against the ropes there. I'm fighting out of the corner. But
Recency bias. Yeah, but I think most people are in your camp. They look at Justin Herbert and they look at Joey Bosa and say, oh my God, this is a sleeping giant. Bring in Bill Belichick and we're going to win 14 games. And I just think that is the same Chargers mistake over and over and over again.
Okay, but listen, I still think that the Chargers, even though they've found creative and inventive ways to lose over the years,
yeah, true.
They were still a feared team. You know, there was still a team that was able, you didn't ultimately maximize on the talent because you didn't win a Super Bowl, but they were a team that was in it every year, that was a threat, that was, playing deep into the playoffs, at least divisional round, that one AFC championship game.
You're talking about Phillip Rivers, old school, yeah.
I'm saying, it's not like those teams that were, we look back on it now because they never got it done and say, wow, what a waste. But to be honest, they were in the playoff races year after year. They had talented rosters, and now you do have this Justin Herbert. You must get rid of Staley.
That's happening, right?
And it was, to be honest, this is a guy who, from the first season he was hired, never really, I don't think, got the trust of the team. I think people wanted to, and you can bend over backwards and do all this gymnastics to make his version of analytics work, but he never even committed to that. Because then he came off of some of the aggressive play calling and that whole philosophy, and it was a team left without an identity. And that's the most important thing I think you need as a football team. You got to know who you are.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
I do agree with all that, but I also you cannot ignore the injuries. I mean, who is Brandon Staley coaching by the end every year? Who's out there? Right. I mean, how many backups has that guy had to deal with? Listen, he actually made the playoffs last year. What we're seeing
in an epic
disaster
of a game.
But it is, that team is obviously talented enough to overcome Brandon Staley's shortcomings to some extent. And they almost made it the year before. Remember, they lost in the final game to the Raiders.
Which again was his fault.
But again, who is on the field? I think they've been in the top 3 in IR minutes the last 3 seasons. So, and we know about their medical staff almost killed their quarterback.
I know, Tyrod Taylor.
I just think that there's something really kind of rotten in this program. The other thing, too, is their receiving core. They drafted Quentin Johnson this year, but Justin Herbert drops back. It takes these guys a year and a half to get down the field. It's just one of the slowest receiving cores we've ever seen in the NFL. Mike Williams is great, but big possession guy. Keenan Allen's great. He is not a burner anymore. Yeah. Quentin Johnson actually had a nice touchdown last night in garbage time, but he's supposed to save this. I just think the way their offense plays, it just feels slow.
That is for the offseason, we can talk about how they can revamp this offense and this roster. Mm-hmm. I think they, if it's not Belichick, go with an offensive coach. Belichick would come in as the culture setter, get some of these veterans. Maybe he's the guy who could actually has the resume and the gravitas to hold their feet to the fire, to, get the best out of guys who are at the end of their career. He's got the pelts on the wall, so to speak, that not Brandon Staley, who had never been a head coach before. And if you don't go the Belichick route or maybe the Jim Harbaugh route, then you're trying to get some kind of good offensive coordinator to at least fix that side of the ball.
I think that's a great question. Do you go with the hot young offensive coordinator, the Sean McVay type, to try and maximize Justin Herbert's production? I would not go with the old school Bill Belichick guy because I think, listen, how do you gut Justin Herbert even further? Bring in Bill Belichick. No. I think you need to get in Ben Johnson or one of these young the Lions coordinator, get in someone who's going to modernize the offense and have them flying around and take advantage of Justin Herbert. I do not want an old school guy.
Totally disagree. You got to bring in somebody who has the gravitas, because you just said it. You think the roster's rotten to the core. If something is really rotten to the core, bringing in some hotshot offensive guy to kind of move around the pieces a little bit and score some touchdowns, that's not going to fix the underlying rottenness. You need somebody who goes in and not just puts a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. Mm-hmm. You need someone to do a whole, full demo, renovation of, do I believe I can win? Because I don't know about Ben Johnson. He's got a great offense, but who knows if he's a good head coach. You bring in Harbaugh, you bring in Bill Belichick, all of a sudden people believe they can actually win. The guys on the team, that's where it starts, with a belief. They don't have that now. They quit last night. It was insane.
If I have to watch Josh McDaniels try and coach Justin Herbert, I'm gonna actually get a GoFundMe. I'm gonna get a GoFundMe to revolt as an NFL fan base. Do not do this to Justin Herbert. Give us somebody good. I do not give us Josh McDaniels. I mean, it's funny too because if they hired Belichick, they watched Josh McDaniels be terrible with the Raiders, and then they're going to bring him in to fix their quarterback. That would be the worst thing that could happen.
Okay, but you're not just bringing in McDaniels, and we're talking about ways to fix the Chargers. You're not just bringing in McDaniels, like, to be the head coach. McDaniels minimized as the offensive coordinator is totally fine.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. You have to get whatever the offenses that are good around you. Look at the Niners offense. Look at what the Ravens are doing now. Get that with the Chargers. I do not want to see what I saw with the Raiders with McDaniels or what I see with the Patriots now. But at least, okay, if you're going to go old school, at least give me Jim Harbaugh. Do not give me Bill Belichick, please.
Either one, and the Chargers would be lucky to have him. Lucky. Because I've never seen a Belichick team do that last night. I mean, It's rare that you see that ever in professional football or any professional sport. But, like, this was a team that it doesn't even make sense for them to tank. Like, you can't even try to lipstick on a pig this thing and be like, it was a good loss. No, they've got Herbert. They don't need that. They paid him. They got him. The Raiders actually probably would have benefited more from a loss for keeping it totally real because they are likely going to need a quarterback next year.
Yesterday was irrelevant because Easton Stick was playing quarterback. Right. They don't, whether they win or lose the rest of the season does not matter because Herbert's out. But I think that it is very deceiving. I just think that Charger, it looks good. It all looks good on the surface. I think Bill Belichick's second act, we're gonna see like 5-11, 6-12, whatever, how many games there are. Yeah. I do not think Bill Belichick, he's gonna have a Vince Lombardi end, which is gonna be bad. I'm telling you right now, can't you see the disaster scenario? He goes to the Chargers.
Yeah.
There's high expectations because he has a great quarterback. Then he's gonna have to deal with a completely injured team because they're old and they're set up for injuries. And it's not going to work. Okay. I'm telling you right now, that would not work for the Chargers.
But with a better coach like Bill Belichick, his defense right now, the offense is terrible, but the defense is still one of the best in the league, missing their top two players, Matt Judon and probably Christian Gonzalez, and he still finds a way to coach them up. Like, a better coach even is better when your team gets injured. Like, that's my whole thing. Yeah, you might not have your top guys, but Belichick would at least be able to find ways around it. Other dudes step up, next man up doesn't mean, isn't just a fantasy.
That defense is also helped by the fact that you need 6 points to beat the Patriots, and people are aware of that and are just not even putting the ball in the air.
Oh, you're talking about when the Steelers punted?
I would say the Patriots too might have the worst special teams out of 32 teams in the league right now. So I'm not sure Belichick's on his A game right now. They can barely get the punt and field goal unit through a game without a single disaster. So I do not think Belichick's hot right now.
Okay, that is bad. The special teams is bad, but I'll take the 20 years, or I'm sorry, if you count him as a coordinator, the 40 years of Belichick having good special teams over the 1 year that he has bad special teams, and I'll say this is probably a blip. I think this is probably the anomaly.
Last year was kind of bad too. Remember the pitchy doo-doo?
Against the Raiders.
There was a lot of the wheels started coming off of this team. But if you're in LA with the Chargers, there are no Chargers fans there, obviously. There's none in San Diego. There's none anywhere. You bring in Bill Belichick. You're looking around the state. You have Kyle Shanahan destroying it in San Francisco. You have Sean McVay being a genius in LA. Yeah. And then you bring in Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, and Bill O'Brien. You're going to be like, what the heck? Why do we have to deal with this crew?
No, I love it. I think this sets up, it's like the young guy versus the old guy. And it's about, again, it's about a guy with Belichick's demeanor and resume who comes in and can get the most out of these old guys. Because, listen, all of these veteran dudes, I mean, maybe Khalil Mack tried for a little bit last night, but these dudes are already on vacation. That would never happen with Belichick.
No, Khalil Mack actually was trying last night.
He was trying. That's what I'm saying.
Guys. Yeah. Oh, right. Can you offer the moon to get Shane Steichen back with Justin Herbert? How about that? That's who you need.
Yeah, but
why
would Indianapolis let him go?
A coordinator in their 30s, I hate to say it, is the model right now. Shane Steichen has turned Gardner Minshew into a Pro Bowl, not quite Pro Bowl. He's winning in Indianapolis. I think the Chargers ownership is going to look at that and say, God, we need that guy so bad. We need a breath of fresh air. We don't need a breath of Bill Belichick. It was the opposite of fresh air.
What, you think that Belichick's got sneaky breath?
No, I just think
mothballs?
Shane Steichen comes in Indianapolis. It's like all this positive energy overwhelms the entire facility. Bill Belichick comes in. It's like, oh, God.
That could have been a Bill Belichick quote, by the way.
When asked about the game, Belichick, oh, God.
I mean, I don't know if he comes in Chargers and is nicer to the players, but obviously nobody wants to play for Bill Belichick. That's a famous thing. Everybody who's been through New England, like, this is the worst experience. So you're going to bring this lack of joy to it works in New England. It's great.
Okay,
but bring that to the Chargers?
Does it get results? Yes. And two,
it gets results. Let's face it. It gets results when Tom Brady's the quarterback.
Well, and that's another thing for Belichick, why I think it would be appealing to him. He's seen what life is like without a quarterback. It stinks. So now you go someplace with Justin Herbert, maybe things do get a little sunnier. Do we want to hear from Brandon Staley?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
EJ does. You want to hear from Dead Man Walking? Let's hear Brandon Staley on the effort of his players last night.
The effort of your players.
I don't question the effort of our guys.
Why not?
I know those guys. I've been with most of them 3 years, and I know them inside and out. I'm with them every single day. So this is just a really bad game in the NFL where nothing goes right, everything goes wrong, and, it's the tough side of things.
No, I think the team was basically at the craps table up until kickoff is probably what I would say. And if you know these guys so well, then you should know what buttons to push to keep them engaged even in a lost season. Like, this could have been a rallying point. Hey, Justin Herbert's out. We need to show that we're not just a one-man show. Well, how'd that turn out?
Talk about coaching cliches. I know these guys real well. Well, did you know going into the game you're going to be down 42-0 at halftime?
What else do we want to hear from Brandon Staley? EJ wants to hear more from Staley. Do you want to hear? He was asked if he expects to speak with ownership after this bad loss.
Do you expect to have a conversation with ownership at some point in the next 24 hours?
I always have conversations 24 hours after the game with the owners.
I'm sure those are pleasant.
I wonder if there's a guillotine at this one when he shows up.
I mean, listen, at this point, if they do fire him, it's window dressing, but sometimes you got to do that stuff, because if we always hear guys say the standard is the standard, and like, it's the final score is one thing. Again, we saw a team lose 70 to 20 earlier this year, and it was embarrassing, but guys quit. Like, that's a different level.
But this feels so irrelevant, though, right? A team full of backups in in LA, kind of out there in the West, playing these meaningless games against another meaningless team, the Raiders. I'm not sure how impactful. The Chargers could easily sneak through this with Brandon Staley and have no one notice. I mean, right, because it's Easton Stick at quarterback. They're obviously playing out the string. I'm not sure I get the benefit of firing Staley or keeping him. Does it make any difference of big picture?
I don't know about big. I think it does, because I think it sends a message this isn't going to be tolerated, because you want to send the message to players like, hey, you still got to try, everybody. I know that the season is over. You're not going to make the playoffs, but like, that doesn't mean you mail it in. You have to have a little pride in how you play.
I assume most of these guys are gone, too. I can't imagine. Eckler's definitely not coming back. I can't imagine Keenan Allen's just going to keep doing this. I mean, how many of these guys, Khalil Mack is definitely going to stay there. Are you sure they don't just rip up this? Whoever we saw on the field last night, I hope they're not there next year.
That's actually what I want to ask you guys. Yeah. So if you're Dean Spanos this morning, what is the more pressing issue to you? I have to get a head coach that's going to really change the culture, or I have to change the roster to really elevate the talents of Justin Herbert.
That's
that's the main question.
Yeah, to me,
I disagree with everyone. I disagree with everyone. I think this roster is more flawed. It's not this, they have a lot of older, expensive players. The cap hits on the old guys is huge next year. At some point, you're going to have to rip the Band-Aid and rebuild a little bit.
See, you're already paying Justin Herbert now. So you didn't maximize the rookie deal. So now you've got to get, like, you might not just be able to totally overhaul. You might be married to some of these guys. And so for that reason, coach. And I think a different coach means a totally different outlook. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We get it started with what was a blowout last night, but doesn't mean it wasn't interesting and didn't have implications. Coming up, we do have some major news on the college football front. We do all of it next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I have exciting news for you, Maggie. And for me as an Eagles fan and as you as a Bills fan. Justin Herbert has already been paid, right?
Yeah.
He's the 5th highest cap hit next year for the Chargers, which means everyone above him will be on the open market, and we can add them to our rosters. Khalil Mack, $38 million next year. Yes, I'll take him. Joey Bosa, $36 million. Line him up next to Fletcher Cox. I like it. Keenan Allen, $33 million. And then Derwin James, $20 million. He would fix the Eagles defense in 2 seconds. So this whole Chargers
league
roster
isn't dedicated to try to making the Eagles better, okay? You got to let that go.
You don't need to be an accountant to know that this Chargers roster is not coming back next year.
Well,
so whoever gets his team, you cannot continue to pay this geriatric crew. So I like all these players now. I'm telling you, this is a much more complicated coaching situation because the roster is flawed as is, and they can't keep paying these guys forever.
Listen, Khalil Mack, I think you keep him, of course, Bosa, because he's your draft pick. I'm not giving up on Eric Kendricks. I'm not giving up on Sebastian Joseph Day.
Eric Kendricks, I remember I was in college with Eric Kendricks.
He was out there making plays last night.
Yeah, he looked good with the long hair, but I'm like, and did you say to yourself, oh, wow, Eric Kendricks is still in the NFL?
Asante Samuel Jr. is somebody who you can build around on defense.
I like him.
It's like,
I mean,
there's talent here. And by the way, Perloff said in the last segment was we're talking about whether the Chargers can be fixed with good coaching or whether it's just a total wrap on and they can't be fixed because it's rotten to the core. And Perloff, meanwhile, says that the roster is rotten to the core, yet he'd like all these people to come play for his own team. See, intellectually dishonest. This is about Belichick and Harbaugh coming in and changing everything from the top down.
You could risk one older injury-prone player who's expensive. You can't have a whole team of injury-prone older guys. It just does not work. And yes, I would like all these. You notice I didn't say I wanted Keenan Allen because, I mean, Keenan Allen, what is he ever going to? He's amazing, but he's got to hit a wall at some point. Khalil Mack, the Bills already have Von Miller, which is basically Khalil Mack. So you're going to get him at 35.
I'm not looking at the Chargers trying to go shopping for my team. I'm looking at the Chargers and saying, if you just bring in somebody with an identity, that they can actually be good. But I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's a celebrity in our midst today.
Who?
Ooh, not Benny the Butcher?
No, Benny the Butcher yesterday was amazing.
That was cool.
He's, talk about number 1 Bills fan, but beyond that, Grammy-nominated recording artist and hip-hop star.
By the way,
that's someone who the kids say has the Riz.
The fact that EJ sent us a text saying we're in the hip-hop blogs.
Oh, I know.
I was laughing pretty hard at that. We went from the pro wrestling blogs to the hip-hop blogs. What do we hit next?
Maggie and Perloff, we did it.
Honestly, I feel like we're on top of the world. The fact that we're making waves in the hip-hop community, and just wait.
Waves.
Oh, listen, we're a big deal now. And then just wait until, so Ja Morant is speaking today, and he's going to come back, and we asked Benny the Butcher about Ja because Benny had lived this sort of street life that Ja was kind of trying to emulate on Instagram, and he gave this amazing answer. I mean, thoughtful, to the point, solid advice for Ja Morant as someone who's lived this before, and that's going to come back around too.
Absolutely.
And he was excellent. But we have a celebrity in our midst. And he might not be your household name right now on this show for sure, but across the country. But just wait 24 hours because Peter Schwartz, who's joining us today to do updates, is about to take a star turn that not many would ever see coming.
Wow.
Can I explain why?
Sure.
You got a big night tonight.
I do have a big night tonight.
So you're coming in pinch hitting in a last minute, and we appreciate that so much. You better get a nap today, sir, because you got to be 100% fresh for later tonight. They're doing this thing in the New York area, and Peter, you have agreed, and I don't know, was this a hostage situation? I don't know how you agreed to this. Maybe you lost a bet. Peter is going to be on stage later tonight, maybe wearing a wrestling singlet.
No, that's not happening.
Okay,
put
a bookmark in that.
That part of it's not happening.
And then getting your body completely covered with marshmallow fluff.
That's correct.
By people with 2 massive spatulas or something like that?
That's correct, for Boomer and Geo Live.
Yeah.
How much marshmallow fluff do they have?
Vats.
I understand they bought a significant amount of it.
This isn't a couple
Probably
jars here. Peter, you're a tall guy.
significant amount of ranch dressing that they had a few months ago when they did the first Boomer and Geo Live.
Yes, and Jets general manager Joe Douglas poured it on your head.
Yeah, with Geo. That was pretty cool.
That was cool, but I'm telling you, that got you some notoriety. This marshmallow thing, because of the season, the ranch was kind of random. Holiday season, they're making you a marshmallow fluff snowman.
Right, Schwartzy the Snowman.
You're about to take off, my friend. I hope you're ready for this kind of stardom.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I was a little trepidation at first, but I'm like, you know what? It's for fun. People, are going to come and want to be entertained, and we had fun with the ranch dressing thing last time.
And you got
I don't know
free
if you know
Jets
the
tickets from
backstory.
that.
No idea.
My family and I were in a restaurant. The waitress accidentally spilled ranch dressing on me when she was delivering the food, and it was a whole thing. I complained about it on Twitter. And that was the ranch dressing episode at the last Boomer and Geo Live.
Yeah.
So this time, there really was nothing like that happened in my life. So they were trying to come up with something interesting that was holiday and was festive, and like Schwartzy the Snowman.
I like it.
Yeah, so the ranch dressing earned my family and I Coaches Club tickets for the Jets-Dolphins game on Black Friday. It was fantastic.
Wow.
We sat in the first row.
Except
all this
for
food.
the outcome.
Well, I knew that was the game going
there was
in.
a Hail
I wasn't
Mary interception.
I was fine. I was just feeding my face like you've never seen before. But just it was a great experience to sit that close and experience the game like that, and a huge tailgate party.
Is Tyreek that fast close up?
Yeah.
Wait, let me ask a question, Peter. You sold out a poor waitstaff person for spilling ranch dressing on you? I'm sure it was an accident.
Well, it wasn't. Oh no, it wasn't about her. It was then we had said something to the manager about it, and the manager insulted us, and that's when we walked out of the restaurant. And I got really pissed off and went to Twitter. And it turned out the next morning I was on with Boomer and Gio doing updates, and the whole thing exploded to the point where the restaurant CEO called me to apologize about it.
Wow.
So, but then, the whole thing escalated on Twitter and on the show. So then they came up with this, Hidden Valley Schwartz thing.
I think that this is inspired. I mean, I can't wait for the photos and
there'll be photos and videos.
Best of luck. I don't know. This takes no skill whatsoever on your part, but this is amazing.
Just a few
for you.
moments of people laughing and cheering and
a little
whatever.
Uncomfortable, I imagine.
And there is a payoff with this as well.
What do you get this time?
Yankees legend seats for a game next season.
Oh, nice.
That is awesome. You think you eat well at the Jets game?
Yeah.
I've gotten the privilege of sitting in those Yankees legend seats. First of all, it's like going to the best, most expensive wedding you've ever been to.
And we're getting 8 of them. So it's the 4 of us.
Wow.
And we will have a Schwartz family lottery to determine who the other 4 people are that are
the
going
Hunger
with
Games
us.
over there.
Yeah, how do I get on this?
We've already had inquiries when they heard about this.
Is it going to be a frozen envelope situation that you're trying to avoid a certain uncle or a certain brother?
Are the other tickets accounted for yet? I mean, what game? I'm like,
wait, what?
I'm telling you, this is what it's like to be famous. Now, all of a sudden, you got family members coming out of the woodwork. They're asking you for stuff. I'm telling you, this is your star turn is happening.
What season is it going to be? What month? Is it in the summer or is it going to be early?
We don't know. It's a game to be determined.
Yeah, I was going to wonder, is it going to be July when you realize that Juan Soto was a terrible idea, or is it going to be May where there's still hope?
I was not a big fan of the Juan Soto thing.
I'm curious about what part of the Yankees implosion you're going to get to witness.
Listen, at that point, again, just like going into the Jet game 2 weeks ago, the game itself doesn't really matter. It is going to be the
experience.
The experience of sitting up close like that, especially for my kids.
Yeah.
And they're spoiled because they've gotten to do so many. And you know this.
Yes.
We get certain perks in this business, and there's no question about it.
No, Perloff wouldn't know what you're talking about. His foot doctor gives him courtside seats to the Knicks. He'd have no idea what you're talking about.
My kids have been spoiled with a lot of the things they've been able to do. So this will just be another thing that I'll be able to give them.
I got to say, in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, Rude Dog says, free Jets tickets sounds like a punishment.
Yeah, I know.
The jokes write themselves. Peter, you have headlines for us.
I sure do. And let's begin with Thursday Night Football and a record-setting offensive explosion by the Raiders.
On second and goal from the 4, O'Connell will swing it to Myers. Myers will throw again into the end zone. It's caught! Devontae Adams with the touchdown! Jacoby Myers' second pass of the night and his 3rd career touchdown pass. And the Raiders have a 48-0 lead.
That was Kevin Kugler on Westwood 1. The Raiders pound the Chargers 63-21. Head coach Antonio Pierce looked on at his team, set a single-game franchise scoring record.
Well, we knew at halftime what the record was. I was made aware of it, and we were going to be aggressive regardless what the score was. If we only had 21 or 10, we were going to be aggressive. That was our mindset. I talked to our team about it last week, playing better in the second half. I thought we did. This one was playing, full second half and not letting off on the gas pedal, and hats off to them because that was their mindset.
In other words, they were just going to put the pedal to the metal and keep scoring last night. That was the plan. They led 42-0 at halftime. Aiden O'Connell threw 4 touchdown passes, said it was a team effort offensively.
It was a great job by everybody involved, especially the offensive line. They,
fought their butts off. Again, we score points like that. They're not the ones scoring touchdowns. They're just doing the dirty work. So super proud. We had obviously some new guys in there as well. So really, they really led the way tonight.
It's a lot easier to do that when you have a 9-yard field ahead of you all game long because of Chargers.
Basically, we're just turning it over like at the goal line. So
like the average,
like cashing in.
Yeah, every drive started at the 8-yard line.
It was the most points the Chargers had ever given up in a franchise history. In a game, head coach Brandon Staley said absolutely nothing worked.
We just didn't have a good game tonight. We didn't have it from the beginning to the end. It's just one of those games where nothing went right for us. And, we got a good group of guys, but it was just one of those games where all 3 phases, the worst thing happened to us tonight.
How about all season? I think Brandon Staley is a big blackjack player. He says he once gave an interview. He said he goes to Vegas once a year and basically sits at a blackjack table for 48 hours straight.
Nice.
As some kind of like gift to himself or some kind of guys weekend or something. That could probably start right now.
Yeah. I'm surprised they let him back on the plane back to San Diego.
If there's any place,
LA.
If there's any place you'd want to be fired, I mean, Vegas is the place, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to fire a coach mid-game? Because I think that should have been on the table for Staley last night.
I thought so too.
Well, here's the thing: if I'm the Chargers, my philosophy, just let it ride and fire him on Black Monday when everybody else gets fired, and don't worry.
Hide it.
Hide it. Like, the rest of the season.
Why do you really want? Even though it's Friday, they could fire him today. But why do you want that headline? Who even cares at this point? It's not like they're playing for anything.
To be honest, is it even that big of a headline? It feels like just a matter of when, not if.
You're right. Yeah.
Now to baseball, the Dodgers formally introduced Shohei Ohtani at a press conference at Dodger Stadium. Ohtani, through an interpreter, said he's happy to be wearing Dodger blue.
To play here and believe in me as a baseball player, and especially these 5 guys that I'm about to mention, starts with Mark Walter, Andrew Friedman, Stan Kasten, Brandon Gomes, and Dave Roberts.
Ohtani agrees to a 10-year deal worth $700 million, and the Dodgers not done yet. They have reportedly agreed to acquire pitcher Tyler Glasnow from the Rays. The deal contingent on Glasnow agreeing to a contract extension, and both parties said to be hopeful they can get that done by today.
Yeah, I mean, and you're already seeing the fruits of the deferred contract with Tyler Glasnow, who probably will go to the Dodgers, and I know they have bad injury history too with their pitchers, but watch, he'll pitch 220 innings this year or something like that. Like, this is crazy. And if they get Yamamoto, I mean, come on. Like, why are we not a little more outraged about this? Like, good for you, Dodger fans. You guys skirted the system. But Andrew Friedman, their GM, president, whoever, said yesterday, they asked about the deferred money. He goes, I would have never even thought about this. Like, I couldn't have even fathomed that this would be the case. And it was Ohtani's people who brought it to him. And that might be complete BS. But, like, if the GM doesn't even think this is cool, like a possibility, why are we as fans okay with it?
I just wonder how other teams are not going to try to convince Major League Baseball to look into this and say, this is not right. This is circumventing the luxury tax. I don't know what they do
now, but yeah, it feels like a violation.
The Dodgers have been the evil empire now for like 7 or 8 years, and nobody seems to care when the Dodgers do it, where they're all mad at the Yankees. I mean,
they were all pissed all those years at the Yankees for doing it.
Look at the pitching staff the last 5 years. They've had multiple Cy Youngers on the staff several times. I don't even know if it's any different.
Guys don't make it to the end of the season.
I know, but they basically, Kershaw is disappointing in the postseason, but it's not like they haven't had more talent than everybody for, 5-6 years now?
Well, they've won 10 out of the last 11 AOS titles, but they have won
championship.
Asterisk World Series.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying I don't think we get so upset about this because everyone thinks, the Dodgers are always the most talented team, but it doesn't always translate. It's not like the Dodgers are now going to win the World Series because of this.
No, that's why the evil empire was the Yankees, because they actually, finished the job.
Right. Now I wonder, I think that's why we don't look at them like the evil empire, because this is evil empire behavior, isn't it? I mean, what they're doing.
Definitely. I think this makes the Dodgers way unlikable.
I also think there's way more anti-New York animus than anti-LA animus. That has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Everyone knows the fans come in the third inning. It's not the same intensity. But anyway, I can't wait. I love watching the Dodgers collect all this talent. It's cracking me up because I'd much rather have that than the Mets or the Yankees.
Oh, it's going to be awesome when they lose.
Well, the Yankees will get Yamamoto and they'll shut the Dodgers up.
Well, yeah. Wait, what's that?
The Yankees will get Yamamoto and they'll shut the Dodgers up.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that'll work out.
Now to the NBA, and we'll start in Los Angeles.
Clippers rip it around the horn. Harden deep on the right side. Step back threes in the air. Buckets! James Harden from downtown. He's got 28, and the Clippers lead 106-102. Harden is hot.
That was Carlo Jimenez on Clippers Radio. The Clippers beat the Warriors 121-113. 6 straight wins now for the Clips. James Harden, 28 points, 15 assists, and 7 rebounds.
So predictable. So predictable. James Harden, can I just tell everyone how this is going to go? Because we've all seen this movie before. He's going to try super hard to try to make the All-Star game, right? To try to like shove it back in the 76ers face and Daryl Morey's face. And then the same thing is going to happen. Like he's going to be a me first guy in the second half of the season, and he's going to tank him in the playoffs.
He's going to disappear. Absolutely disappear.
He might have 1 or 2 good games, but he'll definitely cost him a Game 7. Remember he had 2 40-point games for the Sixers, then Game 7 couldn't hit the ocean. That's more his thing.
As for the Warriors, head coach Steve Kerr discussing the Draymond Green indefinite suspension.
I think the suspension makes sense. To me, this is about more than basketball. It's about helping Draymond. I think it's an opportunity for Draymond to step away and to make a change in his approach in his life, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Man, if I was Draymond, I'd be really I'd be mad about this turn from the Warriors. It's like, you were fine with me being this way. You loved me being this way. You said my edge was the reason. You looked at me to be the emotional compass of the team. You paid me over and over again. You've basically said all this is fine, and now all of a sudden, now you guys are saying I've got the problem. This feels very disingenuous from the Warriors.
I mean, Steve Kerr defended Draymond Green choking Rudy Gobert initially. He was like, "Oh well."
It was a headlock, EJ.
Yes, quote unquote headlock.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh well, Rudy Gobert had his arm around Clay's neck, so Draymond Green had to defend him." And now he's like, "We really need to get Draymond Green some help."
I know, guys, this is serious. It's like, no, it's been serious for the last 6 years, and you guys did nothing about it.
But they're
such
not
BS.
But now they're not good, and they know they're not winning anything with Draymond. So they're like, "What's the point?" Now we can call him out. But they tried to bench him during the championship run too. Draymond's been a little wobbly there, right? I mean, Draymond is not the Draymond from. If he was still good, then would we be having this discussion?
No, and that's why it's disingenuous because they didn't want to help him. When he clearly still had issues, but he was helping them win. Now he's not, so it's like, well, now we've got to punch out the pasture. It's like a music manager who gets everything out of their star, even though they know they're abusing drugs or something, and then leaves them on the side of the road.
And it's particularly clownish because they just gave him a huge contract. They could have let him walk right out the door or traded him last mid-trade deadline for some assets. Instead, now they're stuck with him.
And Kerr doubled down, saying 5 games would not have been enough.
That's not something you say, okay, we're going to do 5 games, and then he's going to be fine, right? The league did 5 games after the incident with Rudy. That's not the answer to pick a number. The answer is to help Draymond and give him the help he needs, give him an opportunity to make a change that will not only help him, help our team, but help him for the rest of his life.
Oh, now we're worried about the rest of his life.
Now they're worried about.
Now we're worried about the rest of his life. Sure.
I mean, the dude swung a hit, Yusuf Nurkic. Does he really need help for this? I mean, the triangle hold maybe, but I don't think you need help because I do love this trend that everyone says he hits the foreign players. That is
that was Nick Young.
Yeah. I saw it.
Swaggy P?
He was going after Steven Adams. He does go after the foreign players. Sabonis.
It is interesting.
Yeah, but the foreign players are tough. That's an old stereotype that the foreign players are soft players. That's
not
true anymore.
They're not soft for taking this punishment from Draymond. It's just that he's targeting them
right.
I mean, Nurkic definitely flopped on that. There's no doubt in my mind.
He swung wildly him in the head. But too much for that.
Nurkic goes down 97% of the time. That's a flop. I mean, you grow up flopping in Europe, so
well, now you do it here.
And Sabonis is a flopper too, by the way.
Didn't he have a thing with Dylan Brooks?
Yeah, him and Dylan Brooks, they're not cool.
Oh, wait a minute though.
He called Dylan Brooks
from
a bum.
Canada?
He's a Canadian, so he's also.
I guess that
and in fact,
applies.
his dig with Dylan Brooks was like, "You're on Team Canada. You'll never win a gold medal. You'll never be Team USA." So he actually literally attacked Dylan Brooks for being Canadian.
Man, Peter, thank you so much.
You got it.
And we'll see you next hour. Coming up, again, massive news coming from college football. Did not see this one coming. We'll tell you what it is next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Breaking news in the world of college football. Jalen Milroe is making a stunning return to Alabama. The quarterback sensation is back, and Crimson Tide fans are on the edge of their seats. What does this unexpected twist mean for Alabama's championship aspirations? We're diving deep into the implications, the strategy, and the excitement surrounding Jalen Milroe's return. It's a game changer for the Crimson Tide, and we've got the inside scoop. Stay with us as we break it all down, right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, you can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone restrictions apply. Carlos is on the board today for Maggie and Perloff and said we could pick any song old school to bring back today. And since I'm on jury duty, I asked for a legal theme. And this is what he came up with. Because I certainly fought the system and got screwed pretty hard by 4 weeks of grand jury duty.
Gonna be honest, the people you're deciding on probably have a little bit more at stake than you. But I do love that while Perloff is sitting there jury duty, you're like Googling like, will we ever get rid of grand juries?
I'm making a movement. It's the biggest waste of time in my entire life. Everybody knows it. Everyone there knows it. It's just a gigantic.
You said a fight almost broke out yesterday.
People are so, I can't get into any details, but people are so annoyed. There's no reason for this whole thing to exist. It's just a way to basically steal tax funds. The whole thing has to go away. I'm going to start, it's going to be one of my causes.
I was going to say, are you running for office now and just this is your platform? Although, if we didn't know that your black eye came from a basketball fracas, then you could have said the jury just got out of control. Chaos. Punches were thrown, elbows.
I don't want to be that guy who uses my social media platform to get a judge fired, but I might be that guy. Not fired, but unelected. I don't know because I have a target. That's all I will say.
Wow.
You guys have never wanted to do that? Just try and tweet to get somebody fired like Peter Schwartz did with that waitress who spilled ranch dressing on him?
No.
I've been trying with Tom Thibodeau for 4 years and I got no luck.
I don't think that one's going to work.
I mean, it is a New York City judge. The odds of them being not corrupt are minimal. So, I mean,
it comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, this is Brooklyn. I mean, the line between the criminals and the people trying them is thin. That's all I will say.
You think he's corrupt? Think about the guy he beat in his election.
Yeah, I know.
The guy from the Jaguars who embezzled $22 million is looking at 30 years. That guy's like, well, maybe I'll have a second act as a New York City judge.
Oh my gosh, it's a she, by the way, and she's going down.
Oh wow, Perloff.
I might run against her. I don't have a law degree or anything.
You're gonna run against her just on principle.
Promise, I will not make you sit in jury duty for 4.5 weeks.
I know, and then when they tell you you can't make that promise, you're like, oh.
You can make any promise when you're running for something.
That is true. Okay, big news from college football, Perloff. You were not surprised by this. I was a little. Jalen Milroe has announced he is going back to Alabama. I thought after Anthony Richardson got drafted 4th overall, I'm like, all right, if you're not exactly like Mr. Accuracy, but you have like all these other skills, you can still be a high draft pick. I thought maybe that would entice him a little bit, but he's going back to Alabama, and I think is the Heisman front runner going into the season.
I mean, I think he probably would be looking 2nd or 3rd round in this year's draft. So now he has a chance to really push out. He's much different than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, when he drops back and throws a pass, is a thing of beauty. Milroe is not that now. His form needs a lot of work.
The running is there.
The running is definitely there. Yeah. Here's my big question. How big is Jalen Milroe? We know he's jacked. There's no doubt about it.
He looks big.
He's listed at 6'2", so a listing at 6'2" usually means 6 feet. But I think he said he's taller than people think he is. So we'll see. I mean, this is quarterback. The number one thing you look at is height. The second thing is hand size. So I don't know about his NFL. But do you really trust a favorite in the Heisman? Because usually it's hard to predict. Well, whoever the favorite is in January usually does not win it. So you have a million guys next year.
Yeah, I believe that he would be the front runner. I mean, listen, we're coming off of, and I know Quinn Ewers is about to play in the college football playoff as well, and he's been very good. But we're coming off of, Jalen Milroe beating Georgia, keeping them out of the top 4. Like, obviously, part of this is just like, are you, how hot are you right now? But again, Quinn Ewers is also very hot. And I think Shedeur is where we are going to hear from Shedeur Sanders, I think, in next year's Heisman race. If the Colorado really has fixed some of these offensive line problems, and again, I know they got a fancy hashtag and everything, but protect too, right? But I think that we saw Shedeur's talent, so I do think he will be a part of this, and then we'll see about some of the other guys who decide to come back.
I would tell you right, if I could put money right now, Dylan Gabriel at Oregon, ooh, that is set up for yards. That's going to be great. Dan Lanning's a great coach. I think it's going to be one of the. First of all, he's 29 years old now. Basically, he's older than Easton State. He's very experienced. That would be my pick. I think he's 3rd in odds right now.
One other thing that's working well for Milroe is Alabama's got this really tough schedule next year, and so he's going to have a lot of opportunities to play well in big games. Now that could be. There's two sides of that, right? Because you could have some losses, but you are playing Georgia in September. You are playing Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You are obviously playing LSU. We know that, but some fun games.
Let's not forget Georgia's Carson Beck coming back as well. But he has no weapons, Milroe. So he's got a great O-line. I don't see this happening.
855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. We get a full transfer portal update later on in the show, but coming up, the more deserving MVP in the NFL.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
MVP race tightening up in the NFL. We got a big slate of games this weekend. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I think the most fierce debate about the NFL MVP, Perloff, is amongst two players on the same team. And that is Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. Head coach Kyle Shanahan was asked yesterday, who is the MVP between those two? Here's what he said.
Trying to get me in trouble with those two guys. That's the only reason I wouldn't overly comment on either one of them, because I don't want them to cancel each other out. But if any non-quarterback's going to get an MVP, I don't get how Christian McCaffrey can't. I mean, he's amazing in what he's done all year. If it's going to a quarterback, then I don't have to talk about Christian. I can talk about our quarterback. And I'm still, if his numbers is all you see, then I think that solves it up. But if you watch the film, then it makes it even stronger, which to me is the most important thing.
Okay, so obviously the head coach wasn't going to pick, but to me, I've never believed in Brock Purdy's MVP candidacy, and I don't know how you can. Whereas I know this award is very difficult for a non-quarterback to win, Perloff, but if anyone is going to win it, and if we've talked about Tyreek Hill, well, then let's talk about the person who actually has more yards from scrimmage than Tyreek Hill. That would be Christian McCaffrey. Let's talk about the NFL's rushing leader in terms of yards, but also yards per carry. Let's talk about a guy who leads all running backs in receiving yards. Let's talk about the big plays that he's made, the game-changing aspect of his performances. And you've already seen Brock Purdy when he didn't have everything perfect, and the 49ers went on a 3-game losing streak.
Okay, but it's Kyle Shanahan. First of all, anybody can run in that offense. Ask yourself a question. Next week is one of the biggest games of the year. San Francisco against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Who is the pressure on to win that game? Who better step up? Because Christian McCaffrey's not winning that game. He could have a great game. There's no way he's going to beat a great defense like that. They need Purdy to play like an MVP to win that game. They need their quarterback to be the guy, because McCaffrey, as great as he is, he's one of many pieces there, where Purdy is the only guy who touches the ball in every play, and he's much more important than McCaffrey. I'm sorry.
Okay, but he gets to hand the ball off to McCaffrey for 72-yard gains and touchdowns. Like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but he also gets to hand the ball off to Deebo Samuel, who's just as important.
Okay, so the reason why I think that McCaffrey is the most important person when you're talking about whether it's them playing the Arizona Cardinals this weekend or when they play the Ravens is because even say you have a Ravens defense that's awesome and McCaffrey maybe can't get much done at the line of scrimmage, he can go in the pass game. Literally not just like, screen passes. Run routes like we saw him do against your Philadelphia Eagles, against Tampa Bay, I guess would be another one. Like he's so multi-dimensional that you can't say, oh, this team's going to take him out of the game. That's impossible.
Yeah, but if Purdy's not feeling it in that game, they're not going to win. I mean, that's just the bottom line. McCaffrey can't single-handedly beat a team where Purdy is going to be able to do that. That's why the quarterback gets the MVP, in my opinion. Not only that, I mean, McCaffrey's having a great year, but to win the MVP at running back, you pretty much have to get 2,000 yards.
Okay, he's pretty much on pace for that.
I don't think so. Is he?
Well, right now, maybe not for rushing yards. He's got 1,177 with 4 games to go. But in terms of all-purpose yards, could he get to 2,000? Yeah, because I said he's also got the 437 receiving yards.
But I think Peterson won the MVP because he got to 2,000 rushing yards, and that's clearly not happening with McCaffrey. But if you look at the leaderboards and the stats, there's Pro Football Reference website.
Yeah.
When you lead a category on that website, you get bolded.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's stats, he is bolded in completion percentage, TD percentage, yards per attempt, yards per carry, not yards per carry, rating.
I was going to say, wait, what?
What is Y/C? I have no idea. Anyway, he's leading the league at 14.1 on that one. QBR 74.7, by far leading. Basically, he's leading everything. He's Kurt Warner. And I'm sorry, this reminds me so much of Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. Both of them, I think, won MVPs in the Rams. But this is the Kurt Warner year. He is out of nowhere, and he is leading this amazing offense. And he's the story to me. McCaffrey's been great before. We've seen this season from McCaffrey. It's nothing exceptional. To me, Brock Purdy is a new guy, and the narrative of the MVP is going to be him.
Okay, but let's take that away. Why? By the way, Y/C is yards gained per pass completion. Take away that this is a narrative. No. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about who deserves it. We're not talking about what's going to happen. We're talking about who deserves it. Of course, I know that the quarterbacks it's so tilted towards them, but I'm asking you who deserves it off of this team.
I thought we were saying who's going to win it.
No, well, we know that the quarterbacks are so slanted to this. I'm talking about who should win it, who's more deserving. That's McCaffrey. That's because here's the thing about Purdy. Purdy, yes, he is the point guard here. He's got so many weapons, and good for him. He's making the most out of it. This is the best a quarterback's looked in a Kyle Shanahan offense probably since Matt Ryan. He looks awesome. But he also, as far as quarterback in the NFL goes, he's got an easy job. It's McCaffrey out there who's got to play multiple roles and also has to, make this happen in so many ways. You say that we've seen McCaffrey do this before, and he never won MVP. You saw the 49ers move heaven and earth to get McCaffrey, right? A second-round pick. It was high. They brought his salary over.
Second-round pick is heaven and earth?
No, I'm saying, look at it, the stock, how down the stock is for running backs right now. Nobody trades anything for running backs right now because, believe me, there were running backs out there on the market who were looking for trades and couldn't find them this offseason. And McCaffrey not only got paid, which is, not how quarterbacks are treated these days, or running backs, and he got traded for. Yeah. The 49ers knew they needed him. Yeah, but if you're looking at valuable players, now you're opening up to the whole NFL. If you had an open draft for this year's playoffs and you had a team, I don't think McCaffrey's one of your top 10 picks. I think you're going quarterback. You think he's more valuable to the Niners than Josh Allen is to the Bills, or Lamar Jackson is to the Ravens, or Dak Prescott is to the Cowboys? No way. Okay, but look at all the other people you just mentioned, not Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy was in Buffalo, he's not having this success. But if he's in Dallas, I don't think he is. If he was in Dallas, he'd be dope. You don't think Brock Purdy would be killing it in Dallas right now? How many more weapons do the 49ers have than the Cowboys right now? It's like double. I don't know. It feels like the Cowboys drop back and throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb 100 times, and I think Brock Purdy could do it. That's CeeDee Lamb. And then Jake Ferguson. I think Purdy could do exactly what Dak is doing. Purdy has got Debo. He's got McCaffrey, he's got Kittle, he's got Juwan Jennings who can always, be there for you. Oh, right, Juwan Jennings. He's got Brandon Ayuk, obviously. You know that Kyle Juszczyk is probably getting a touchdown in a playoff game. It goes on and on and on. The Cowboys we've even talked about this. Yeah. They still feel like a receiver short. I think Purdy would look great in that Texas Coast offense. I think he'd be really good. I think you're underrating how good Brock Purdy is because those little passes he throws, everyone's like, oh, anybody can throw that. The short pass that becomes a yak. I think he's really, really good at that, and I think he'd fit wonderfully in Dallas. Okay, if you actually did a draft of the top guys, if you did a playoff draft, you're telling me in a quarterback, someone's taking Brock Purdy number one? I think he would go. No shot. I'm not saying number one necessarily, but I think he'd probably be ahead of McCaffrey. If you're the Cowboys, you don't need Christian McCaffrey. You need a quarterback. Okay, so now we got two things going on here. Running backs just are not that valuable, Maggie, even Christian McCaffrey. But on this team, forget globally. Yeah, but do you remember when they went to the Super Bowl? They basically were picking off like Elijah Mitchell. Actually, he was on the Super Bowl. Raheem Mostert had 200 rushing yards in a playoff game. This system will get you running backs. Honestly, the quarterback is way more important in a sense. Okay, but he is in this system that is working so perfectly and doesn't just play one role. So we have two questions here, I guess. We have one about who's the MVP amongst the 49ers. If you were going to give MVP to one of these players on the 49ers have the best team in the NFL. If you were going to give it to one of them, is it more deserving for McCaffrey or is it more deserving for Purdy? For me, it is always going to be McCaffrey because I'm not saying that Purdy's not a good player. I'm just saying, is Purdy elevating the team? No, he's part of the system, which most people believe is like pretty quarterback friendly.
Yeah, but I mean, watch the way Purdy's playing now is definitely elevating the team. He's moving around a lot. He's playing closer to Mahomes than anyone right now. He's evading a lot of tackles. He's been nearly perfect the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been unbelievable to watch.
And to Perloff's point, Maggie, I mean, didn't we watch basically Jimmy Garoppolo have to play in this same system with these same weapons besides Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
And we saw how pathetic essentially he was running the offense. You got to give Purdy some credit.
They were leading with 10 points in the fourth
quarter. It was almost in spite of him. I mean, you got to give Purdy some credit. I mean, Perloff mentioned all those stats he's leading the league in. I don't think you can just take any quarterback and say, okay, throw him in there with McCaffrey and they'd be fine.
Okay, but I ask you to do this the opposite way and put Purdy on a team that doesn't have these weapons and this offensive line and tell me if you think that he's a difference maker, because shouldn't that be what the MVP is about? We've seen McCaffrey do it on multiple teams. When he was healthy in Carolina, he was a difference maker. And Brock Purdy this is like the Cam Newton thing from earlier. It's like, is he a game manager or is he a game changer? Brock Purdy's going to be rich and famous and make tons of money. Like, that's not it. And he's probably going to win a Super Bowl. But to say that he's the MVP when he has all these weapons at his disposal, you guys sound nuts.
I mean, listen, he's probably going to win MVP. So you're going to have to call all the AP voters. I mean, it's him and Dak, right, are neck and neck. So, I mean, who's going to win the MVP? It's not going to be McCaffrey. Because first of all, McCaffrey is right there with Tyreek Hill as the most valuable non-quarterback. You could say everything you said about McCaffrey.
But McCaffrey has more yards than Tyreek. And he's got better numbers right now.
But we all know,
they both are on good teams.
But we have eyeballs. You take Tyreek Hill off the Dolphins, and that team is not good. You take McCaffrey off the Niners, yes, they're worse. But still, the games that Brock Purdy struggled, it was a lot of Debo not being there as well. He's incredibly. That's the other thing about McCaffrey's got a lot of competition for those MVP votes. I'll bet you they knock each other off, and neither wins the MVP. But I do think that and I think everybody's underestimating how good Brock Purdy is.
I'm not saying that he's not good. That's crazy. Of course he is. I'm just asking you, is he really the MVP when we're talking about these two guys on this team? Now, if you wanted to zoom out globally on this, like if you think that Brock Purdy is the MVP, I ask you, put him on Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, put him on another good team that's not as good as the 49ers, and do you think we're talking about him as the MVP? No way.
Well, yeah, of course. But MVP, you have to have a good team around you. But that being said, if we say who lifts our team the most, and to me, this is an obvious answer. I mean, Lamar Jackson is clearly, by your definitions, Lamar Jackson is obviously the MVP.
And I think he should be getting more love for this, no doubt.
He's third in odds. It's not like he's not getting love. I'm telling you, he's sitting there. That game next week is going to be a showdown.
But you've already seen there have been some, 100 people vote for MVP? Yeah. And it's like some media, and I think there's some other... I thought
it was 50, but is it 100 now?
It's 50.
It used to be 50. Maybe it's...
That's like a very small amount of people.
Yeah, but one thing about the MVP vote, I just read this recently. Now you used to have just one vote.
It's
and
ranked?
That's why Russell Wilson never got a vote. Now they rank it, which means what could happen is Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey could water each other down, which means Dak or Lamar could run in there. I mean... And your guy Josh Allen's fourth in odds now, too. If they beat Dallas this week, all of a sudden he's in the conversation. Because of this exact argument, there's nobody around Josh Allen. Diggs is not playing great, so he's a one-man show. But, okay, take all that logic away. You know how this works, Maggie.
Well,
You've
that's
been following sports.
Yeah,
the quarterback on the best team has a great chance of winning MVP.
Just like I know that a Marvel movie is never going to win the Oscar. But if I think that just because that's how the system works, but if I think that's actually a great movie, then that's a different discussion. Like, should it win? Like, I know a comedy is not going to win the Oscar, but
I see what you're saying.
Should it, is a different one.
Okay. I just want to get those terms there because I thought we were coming to this argument who's going to win it. I feel really strongly that Purdy has a better chance because of how the award works. Now, who is actually more valuable? Honestly, think of that Ravens game. It's on Purdy. And Purdy better play. And I don't know if this is a good thing, but I'm more worried about Purdy than I am. I know McCaffrey's going to be good, but I do not know Brock. No, I know.
Consistency.
But that's what I mean.
He's going to be good.
But I think he has a chance to prove that he is good in this game. So this game is huge. Not this week against Arizona. I hope they win that one.
The last time the 49ers played Arizona, McCaffrey had 4 touchdowns. So you might get another MVP type performance. Carlos just put his hands in the air, indicating that Christian McCaffrey is on your fantasy team.
That's right.
855.
He's an MVP.
I speak this universal language. 855-212-4CBS. Brian in Arkansas is not happy with me this morning. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, Meg. It's not that I'm not happy with you.
I agree with you, and then I agree with you on McCaffrey, except for one problem. Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan's systems always made the running back look good.
Yeah.
Purdy is an average quarterback. Sorry, you guys, he should not get the MVP. 3 games, like you said, 3 games when he lost his toys, he could not win a game. You can't put him on the Cowboys, he'll lose. You can't put him in Baltimore, he'll lose. He's not a Mahomes quarterback. I can't believe you said that. That really breaks my heart. I'm a Cowboys fan, and that was terrible. Don't say that about Patty.
Watch Brock Purdy in the pocket these days. He's running around like crazy.
Yeah, he's not Mahomes, though, Perloff. Come on.
Yeah, that was maybe too far. But he had a play the other day where he evaded everybody and throwing against his body. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know Brock Purdy could do that.
Okay, but Brian, thank you so much for the phone call and appreciate you pointing that out. See, this is so Brian's main point about McCaffrey was that Shanahan's system makes it really easy for all running backs. Like Raheem Mostert had this big run and all that.
You go back to the Broncos with Terrell Davis and those guys. Every year, a 1,500-yard rusher.
But McCaffrey's not just a running back. See, that's the thing. He's literally running routes. He's literally has almost 500 yards receiving. Like, if he was just straight up, hand off, go into the line, hand off, go into the line. This is a guy who's such a weapon and a tool in so many ways. I don't think he fits the standard definition. He doesn't fit the standard definition of running back.
Yeah, but to me, it's just not enough because McCaffrey has the same problem as Purdy. You take Debo away from that team, you have a major problem. So if McCaffrey's so good, he should be able to fill all those gaps, and he just can't because he's a running back.
See you guys on the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Love what you guys are bringing to the table here in this conversation because it's like, what is it, Rorschach test? Like, what do you see when you watch Brock Purdy? Because I know what I see when I'm watching McCaffrey. And I know when I'm watching Brock, I'm watching a good player and a good system. I think you put him on any other team, and it's Mr. Irrelevant. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Keep it coming. Got more for you in a moment, including back to college football. Big, big news coming out. This is bowl season, guys. Starts on Saturday. We'll get to it in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by NHTSA. Whether you get pulled over or get in a car crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. Oh, man, I'm doing grand jury duty right now, and Carlos is bringing legal-themed songs, and it's just, it is an episode of Law & Order. I can't say anything specific, but that show is true to life.
Yeah, it's always ripped from the headlines.
It's ripped from the headlines. It's just a lot less interesting.
It's all-time theme song. That's probably underrated. We were talking yesterday about Knight Rider and stuff like that, but I think Law & Order is probably an all-time theme.
Yeah, and that ba-bum, you just immediately
it's an
evokes that show.
all-time sound effect for sure.
Or sound
that
effect.
gong.
Yeah, I would say that maybe like whatever you want to call the intro to Seinfeld. Like it's so distinct, you know. Dun, 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 whatever. We all know the Seinfeld theme. Okay, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've been having a conversation about who deserves the MVP if it's going to come from the 49ers. Is it Brock Purdy? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Kyle Shanahan was asked about it yesterday. He wouldn't choose, obviously, but made a nice case for both players. I say McCaffrey. Perloff says Purdy. Mark is in Ohio. Mark, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Good morning. How are things?
Things are going pretty well. I'm at the gym, and, I'm dealing with an injury, and I'm trying to rehab from it. And so I'm sort of partial towards Christian McCaffrey and running backs who can survive. I don't think we give running backs enough credit for being able to survive the workload, all the things they're asked to do, being able to block, catch out of the backfield. He can't throw the ball away the way Brock Purdy can.
That's true.
And that's my argument.
Mark, it's good. It's just a running back appreciation call. And, here's the thing, though. You're rehabbing from an injury. Brock Purdy, remember, had what we thought was a rather significant elbow injury and didn't miss one snap in training camp.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
for him.
That's the thing. McCaffrey has never stayed this healthy this long. Last year, I got to tell you, as an Eagles fan, regardless of who the MVP was, I was relieved that McCaffrey wasn't 100% for that NFC title game. I think that caller brings up an interesting point. That's one of the reasons running backs aren't winning MVPs, because they haven't been durable. When we were kids, they were, though. Did Thurman Thomas ever miss games? I feel like now you can't trust a running back to play a whole season at all.
Well, Tom Brady said, league's mediocre. Gabe is in California, not happy with my Purdy take. Hey, Gabe, how are you?
And, you're not the only one with that take, that hypothetical. If you were on whatever team, the Cardinals, would you be doing the same thing? It's just a cheap and lazy take.
Well, it's not lazy. It's true.
It is. It really is. Because it's every player is a product of their system. You look at Davante Adams. Davante Adams, what he was doing with the Packers. Is he really doing the same thing with the Raiders?
No, but
really.
You actually just made my point with Davante Adams, Gabe. No, Gabe, hold on one second. You said what you want to say, and I'll say what I want to say now. That's like how a conversation works. You actually made my point here with Davante Adams, because last year, Davante Adams, when he didn't have Derek Carr the whole year, still put up Davante Adams numbers. He didn't have to be with Aaron Rodgers to put those numbers up.
But it wasn't the same quality. You could recognize that.
Well, they weren't winning games, but as far as him putting up and having stats, he still had them. Here's another one for you. Do you think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback or a bad quarterback?
Well, it's a product of the system. He's you could see that he could do more. But, he's not.
Okay, here's the thing.
Similar.
Yes or no question. Justin Herbert, good quarterback, bad quarterback?
With what
good quarterback, bad quarterback, Gabe. It's the answer. It's good quarterback, and he's got a losing record because he's good. He's on a bad team. Brock Purdy is good and on a good team. If you put Brock Purdy on a bad team, you're not making that Justin Herbert argument. I'm right.
Well, how about you put in this perspective? How about Drew Brees when he was with the Chargers before he got reunited with Sean Payton? He was that system that he was with the Chargers. They were moving on from him. They were getting Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, but that was also he had a massive shoulder injury first of all, he was good on the Chargers, but secondly, he had a massive shoulder injury they thought he would never recover from. That's why they didn't pick him and let him move on, right?
Even in that last season, he was relevant. He played in the playoffs, and they moved on from him. They already had a Rivers in the back.
I don't know.
Miles Sanders. Every player is literally a product of their system. And what does Purdy bring to the table? You can't say that Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, you get that same sensation when they're on the field.
No, of course not, Gabe.
As a Niner fan,
here's the thing. I totally get it. Listen, Garoppolo turned the ball over too much, right? He wasn't good enough, and he turned the ball over. And, Gabe, thank you for the call and the spirited conversation. Nothing but respect. But, he turned the ball over too much, and that's what Purdy is great at, right? Purdy is not ever putting you in a bad spot, very rarely putting you in a bad spot, because he doesn't turn the ball over. But I'm just saying we know good players when we see them, even if they're on bad teams or in bad systems. Well, you're the ultimate system
I don't
guy.
know. I mean, obviously, Gabe brought up a great point. Drew Brees with Sean Payton's an MVP. Drew Brees with any other coach is not an MVP. And I hate to say it, you guys are not going to like this. Patrick Mahomes, not with Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes ain't Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, see, this is where you and I are
You
never
think
going to see
Patrick
this. We're never going to see eye to eye
Patrick
on this
Mahomes
one.
gets drafted by, I don't know, the Vikings or something. Or give me a team that doesn't have Andy Reid makes quarterbacks great. The two are, you can never separate anything. I agree completely with him.
You also thought Tom Brady was a system quarterback. You've
Yes.
taken this to the extreme.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I do think he's got a good point. Trevor Lawrence on another team could be MVP this year. But in Jacksonville, they're kind of a young and developing team. He's not putting anywhere near MVP numbers. So I do think there's a reality of the system. You can't ignore it.
There is, but I said put Brock Purdy on the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably have similar numbers. Trevor Lawrence's numbers are not great this year for whatever reason.
Well,
they're pretty
that's
good. He makes these great throws. But I got to tell you, I think Brock Purdy would do some things that Trevor Lawrence isn't great at. I think he'd be better at the underneath game. I do think he'd be okay. Trevor Lawrence will make a wild throw of 40 yards, but is he getting the ball to ETN 5 yards behind the line of
But
scrimmage?
he's getting the ball to Evan Ingram. I mean, he's hurt now, so he doesn't have the full, you can tell he doesn't have the full confidence to turn the ball over 3 times last week, but he goes to Ingram, who was a 0 and left for dead in New York and has now resurrected his career. That's underneath stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence has 17 touchdowns and 10 picks in Jacksonville this year. Purdy could do that.
I just picked that out of the
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but Trevor Lawrence, you put him on San Francisco, would probably be killing it. So the system, obviously, we know the reality. I completely understand what you're saying, but the reality is you can never separate these players from where they are. So if you're talking about MVP, like Dak, you don't think Dak is getting help from everything around him right now?
See, you and I see Dak differently. I think that Dak is not just like this game manager guy who's just being asked to go out there and not lose the game. I disagree with Cam Newton. I disagree with you. I think that Dak Prescott actually is someone who's elevating his team, who's pushing the ball down the field, all that stuff.
Yeah, Dak is a very good quarterback, but if you put him on a bad team, he's not going to be able to do Lamar Jackson things. That's why I agree with Cam Newton in that sense. Like, he's not going to take over a game with his legs. He's not going to start flinging the ball 70 yards downfield like Josh Allen. That's just not who Dak is. Dak is a system player in a really good way.
Okay, not to make this too much of a schizophrenic argument here, but this is why I brought up Justin Herbert with Gabe from California, which is good player, bad team. And Justin Herbert never takes over a game with his legs. That isn't going to happen, but you know that he's a good player, and you can, like, Devontae Adams still a good player. Larry Fitzgerald on bad teams was still a great player. Like, you understand it. You see it when you see it.
Well,
and
yeah,
no
but
one's saying that about Purdy.
Herbert usually has a winning record and great stats. Even this year, his stats are great.
His overall record is a losing record.
Right,
30-32.
Herbert is what he is. He's a really talented quarterback on a meh team.
Right. That's my point. You can still tell the talent even if the team's bad. If with Purdy, nobody thinks that he is Justin Herbert if he was on a bad team. Nobody's saying that he's a great player.
Yeah, I see. Where I disagree is I think Purdy would be pretty good in Jacksonville. I think he'd be a very interesting player there.
Peter Schwartz is here. He's got headlines.
I do.
Hello.
And we will kick off with Thursday Night Football, a record-setting night for the Raiders.
As the clock hits 0, the Raiders walk onto Allegiant Field and set the franchise record. 63 points tonight in their largest ever win over the Chargers. 63-21 here tonight on Thursday Night Football.
That was the final. Jason Horowitz on Raiders Radio. Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce said it's not easy to score 63 points.
It doesn't matter who you play. It's hard to score 60-plus points in the National Football League. But I think just seeing guys understanding, like, man, if we execute, we do things the right way, you hear it all the time, right? It's kind of cliche. Believe in the process. And I think the guys have done that. They bounce back.
And they bounced back from that 3-0 loss to the Vikings.
It's amazing how the process can just be so wildly different. Believe in it last week, score 0 points. Believe in it this week, score over 60.
Over 60. And they didn't have much, that's the thing. They didn't have much time to think about it. I think it was the best thing for the Raiders to come back on a short week and just take their frustrations out on a division rival. Aiden O'Connell threw 4 touchdown passes. Devontae Adams, 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. After the game, Chargers head coach Brandon Staley asked about his job security.
Do you expect to be the coach here tomorrow?
I don't know that.
Do you think you should be?
Yes.
Why?
I know that what I've done here for 3 years, and I know what I put into this, and I know that we're capable of going. I know the type of coach that I am. I believe in myself.
It was the most points the Chargers ever gave up in franchise history in a game.
Yeah,
tough. I mean, a lot of it was on offense. Let's be fair about it. You can't totally kill the defense. How many fumbles did they have in total?
I know they had
5 or 4.
I know they had 3, I believe, in the first half.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm not blaming Khalil Mack of that defense at all. They didn't give up. They were just screwed by the offense, just fumbling, and a pick six. Can we talk about that beautiful pick six at some point today?
You want to talk about it?
Oh my God! It was the highlight play was the Raiders quarterback just reached behind him like a ballerina, and the most meaningless pick six that made it the last score. Was it the last score or the second to last score? It was in the second half of blowout. That was one of my favorite plays of the year. I think you're going to see a year-end highlight, and you're going to have this game in there because the Raiders' defensive back was it Jack John? What's the guy's name? Jack Jones? Jack Johnson?
Yeah.
Johnson.
Jack Jones.
Jack Jones. Yeah. Oh, we should put this play out on Twitter. It is maybe my favorite play of the year. This is
someone
incredible.
in the chat that referred to it as the Spider-Man interception.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
And it was 5 fumbles, 4 of them were lost.
He was asked, "Do you think you're going to be the coach?" And he said he didn't know.
Yeah, I mean,
usually they'll say, "I fully expect to be here." You know, he said he didn't know.
Yeah, and those responses, none of this ever ages well. You know, like this guy's got to, you got to lick your finger, put it up in the air, and see which way the wind's blowing. It's not good here for Brandon Staley.
I think he
gets
knows.
it.
Yeah, just a matter of time. Now to baseball. Dodgers formally introduced Shohei Ohtani at a Dodger Stadium press conference. Ohtani already learning the words to the song "I Love LA."
Can't wait to join the Dodgers. They share the same passion as me. They have a vision and a history all about winning, and I share the same values. So just can't wait to join the team and get it going.
And also start cashing those paychecks, especially after he's done playing for the Dodgers. A 10-year, $700 million deal with $680 million deferred after the 10 years are up. And the Dodgers reportedly agreed to acquire pitcher Tyler Glasnow from the Rays, but the deal contingent on Glasnow agreeing to a contract extension. And both parties said to be hopeful they would be able to do that by today. Now to college sports, after U.S. District Judge Preston Bailey issued a 14-day temporary restraining order against the NCAA on Wednesday that allowed two-time transfers to play immediately. The NCAA announcing yesterday that two-time transfers who participate in any games during the 14-day TRO will lose a season of eligibility if the ruling is reversed.
Yeah, I mean, this one is unfortunate. It's not impacting a lot of people, but it's going to impact some in a big way. And you already had one basketball player who did, got the temporary restraining order, which means you can play. They thought you could play in this 14-day window. So he goes out there off the bench, scores like 10 points and has a good game. And now, depending on how this case goes in a week, he might get a year of eligibility taken away.
Yeah.
Who thinks this is right?
It's wrong.
It's awful.
It's terrible. I mean, they have to at least, if they're going to change it after the 14 days, at least grandfather in the players who already.
Absolutely.
And this isn't about face from the NCAA, because when this ruling first came down, the word was, and there were reporters who followed up with the NCAA to determine what was going to happen. They said those players would not lose eligibility. So you want to talk about being piggish for the NCAA to then reverse course the next day and say, actually, they will not have cake.
But,
we will drop the hammer on them if they take the court. That is messed up.
And the guy's name was Keelan Boone from UNLV, who's the one who played, who was the two-time transfer. So now he might get the eligibility taken away, which is just crazy. Like, there's no way this can stand up.
Yeah, I was about to say,
it's the NCAA's rule.
NCAA gets killed in court every time, so why can't these players just take them to court? Because you automatically win if you get into the court with NCAA. If they lost 30 or 40 cases in a row, I mean, do they win anything?
No.
I mean, because they don't really have like a legal leg to stand on. We just sort of accepted what they were doing.
They're the Washington Generals of the legal system.
Yeah,
I guess in this fantasy world the NCAA is living in, if they indeed won this ruling, which is why this would happen, it would be hard for a player, I think, to then say, well, I shouldn't have my eligibility taken away. The courts had then already sided with them. I don't think that they will.
Yeah.
But that would be the impetus for the NCAA to feel confident that they can get this through.
Also, this recent story about the 14-day window. So I understand, reading the story, that it was more about basketball than football. It's not greatly affecting football, which I don't understand. Because basically, almost everyone in the transfer portal was there on their first transfer or graduate transfer. So everybody we know about is fine, right?
Yeah, it affects basketball because basketball is currently playing. So this 14-day window, I think I saw one of the Ohio governors or senators or whatever said there was like 90 to 100 people who are currently waiting for a waiver or got their waiver denied that then was eligible to play this 14-day window.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of people who are being impacted, but to the people who are, it feels like a wild injustice if, they double talk here.
And there are good players who, Andre Corbello, former Illinois St. John's player, was one of these players. He is not taking the court, but there are good players who in theory could help their teams that were kind of in limbo.
Well, this guy, Keelan Boone, came off the bench to help UNLV upset Creighton.
Right.
That's a top 10 upset,
I remember covering the Giants-Patriots Super Bowl in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, the second one, right. And I check into my hotel room, put my bags down, and I open up the shade just to see what the view is from the media hotel room. And I immediately call my wife, and I said, I am staying in a hotel that is across the street from one of the most corrupt organizations you'll ever want to see in your life. It was the NCAA office.
Spent a lot of time in that Spring Hill Suites Marriott.
Oh, yeah.
Been there. It's right across the street.
But the real world implications. So
Good gym in there, by the way.
Quinn Ewers cannot. Now, Quinn Ewers there's no other school now then. Because the reason that he definitely had to stay at Texas is because he can't move for Arch because he's already transferred once.
Yeah.
So he's not going to mess with it.
Would be a grad transfer, but I don't think he's not old enough.
No, he hasn't graduated
well,
yet. So.
He's 20 now. I mean, he'll be a junior. Those guys can get in a lot of classes, which is questionable.
One way to put it.
It's because they're on campus all the time, right? They do all summer sessions. And they have a way to get a lot of credits.
They're communications majors, right? I don't know. I don't know how much.
Actually,
come on. Don't tell me Quinn Ewers is sitting there in the library all night, Maggie.
So you're saying Quinn Ewers is taking TV class, like in Blue Chips?
Yeah.
There was what used to be called underwater basket weaving was always the thing that people said, the athletes.
Did you guys see in the Manziel documentary, class was not a priority for Johnny Manziel?
Well, and what he says about it is I couldn't go to class because I was getting mobbed for people to get autographs. That I kind of understood.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's why he wasn't going to class. He also said some things. It was egregious how little he cared about his grades.
That is true.
Let's turn to the NBA, and the Celtics stay perfect at home.
Tatum gallops into the paint and flushes hard with the right hand as LeVert dives for cover. Timeout, Jamie Bickerstaff.
That was nice. That was a punctuation mark with that one.
That was Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell on Celtics Radio, and the Celtics improved to 12-0 at home, beat the Cavs 116-107. Jason Tatum with 27 points, and wanted to leave you with one NHL note from last night. Steven Stamkos scored not one, not two, not three. Well, you get the idea.
Final 15 seconds. Janmark to center ice. What a win for the Lightning this is going to be. He's checked by DeHaan. It comes out to center ice. Stamkos looks at the open net. Score! 4 goals for Steven Stamkos. With 6.1 seconds left, the Lightning make it 7-4.
And that was the final. Dave Mishkin on Lightning Radio. Steven Stamkos with his first career 4-goal game.
Yeah, it stopped the Oilers, who had been really hot. Thank you, Peter Schwartz. Coming up, the big question going into this weekend's NFL games, which don't forget, start on Saturday with a triple header. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Friday. We got picks coming up later. We got lots to do. Carlos always coming in strong with the theme music. The theme is the courts, police, in honor of Perloff's jury duty. The big discussion, though, has been the Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey. Of anyone on the 49ers, who deserves the MVP if it's going to come from the team that we believe is the best in football?
This is getting to areas I love. Who's a system player? Oh, my God. Put it right into my veins.
You're like on the Mount Rushmore if we're having system debates. Like, you're up there.
There's this commercial. You guys ever seen the commercial where these two construction workers are walking down the street and arguing about, is this guy a system quarterback? It's a great commercial because it's like the most meaningless. They're trying to, what's a meaningless conversation we can put in a commercial? They're like, system quarterback.
Not meaningless. Not meaningless at all. I disagree. And I am someone who believes that Christian McCaffrey is the MVP of the 49ers. Perloff believes it's Brock Purdy. We're probably all wrong and it's Trent Williams, but left tackles don't win MVPs. Thomas is in San Diego. He's got a thought on this. Hey, Thomas, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
Hey, Maggie, you're great, by the way. Perloff, the more I listen to you, I think my 7-year-old son should be in that seat. The fact that you said that Tom Brady is a system quarterback after he went on to win another Super Bowl for a different team is criminal. That's Skip Bayless take right there. That's criminal.
I don't even think Bayless could come up with it, to be honest, Thomas. This is Perloff's. This is his corner. Don't let Bayless infringe.
I mean, he did have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Hey, that's fine, but I mean, you could take whether it's today's players or yesterday's players, put them on different teams, different eras, different systems. They're going to be successful. I mean, you take Patrick Mahomes, put him on the Falcons. Drake London's a 1,000-yard receiver. You take Desmond Ridder, put him on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are picking top 10 next year.
Yeah. Well, actually, strong agree.
No. Andy Reid could do good things with Desmond Ridder. It would not be Patrick Mahomes. All I'm saying, and you know this is true, Thomas, the coach and the quarterback is a marriage. It's not one or the other. The two have to work together.
I agree with that, but when's the last time you saw a great coach with a bad system or a bad coach with a good system? So it's one of those where you can take Patrick Mahomes and you could put him anywhere on the planet. He's going to be successful in the game of football. Just like you could take Desmond Ridder, put him on almost any system, any team, whether it's 20 years ago or today, he's just not going to get the job done.
Thomas, Tom Brady himself said, if I gotten drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, I don't know if I'd still be in the NFL. There's a lot going on
and
here.
And as you say, 99.9% of what comes out of Tom Brady's mouth when he's talking into a microphone is what?
Well, lies, but that's no lie. That was no lie. Honestly, the Arizona Cardinals could have Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Lamar Jackson walking that door. They would have ruined those guys.
Well, they got to a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner, so it's not like, again, I'm here with the Thomas side of things. Thomas, I'll be honest with you, Thomas. It's not even Perloff's most egregious take.
Honestly, and also, Thomas, your 7-year-old son. I mean, come on. That thing he said about Giannis last year, totally inaccurate. No, I'm just kidding.
I think Perloff, if we're ranking Perloff's egregious takes, actually, maybe I'll do that back of the envelope and I'll save it for the next hour. I know you, like, we've been working together now for a long, long time. Even before this, I have a pretty good beat on your takes.
Do you know the website 8 Yards and Fall Down? Have you ever heard of this story?
No. Did they already rank these for me?
When I was at Sports Illustrated, our friend Jimmy Traynor created a website to track the takes of mine that he hated. And the one was Tom Brady's a system quarterback. The other was that LaDainian Tomlinson's not that good. He just runs 8 yards and falls down, which was actually a reference to the video game Madden. When you have a choice, you could try and go for more yards, or you could just dive down and get the guaranteed 2 or 3 yards. LT was the kind of guy who would just dive down to get. Anyway, it's a long story.
How dare he? Went all the way to the Hall of Fame with that.
You a Madden player, Perloff?
I was.
You was a big Madden player?
Many years ago, yeah.
Who was your team?
Oh, Eagles.
Oh, okay. You played with your team. That's,
yeah.
I respect that a lot.
But for me, EJ, Tecmo Bowl was the North Star. That was a huge deal when we were kids. Did you guys had Tecmo a little bit, right?
I mean, I was 2.
Oh, okay. I wondered if they ever brought it back for your generation. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they've definitely done remasters, and I've played around with it. But I mean, Madden was my deal.
When I was a kid, you had to have a little handhold thing with little beeps and dots that you pretended you were a running back, even though you were a little beep or a dot, right? Or Calico.
Luis is in New Mexico. Luis or Lewis? You tell me.
Luis.
Luis, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, love you guys' show. So I'm just talking about Brock Purdy. Christian's awesome. I think he's deserving MVP. But Brock Purdy right now leads the league in throwing over 20 yards with 61, tied with CJ, and over 40. He has 12 throws. So that's pretty good statistically.
A lot, yeah, but he doesn't have a lot of air yards on some of those throws. So that's the criticism.
But then also, if you look at this year, he's 8 touchdowns, 1 interception for over 20 yards. Well, I'm comparing to Jimmy Garoppolo, too, on that, too. Because Jimmy did in 2020 to 2022, he threw 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So,
yeah, Jimmy had a problem with the touchdowns. And you're talking about, no interceptions on some of those explosive plays. Luis, I mean, you're right. This is my thing about it. It's not that, Brock Purdy doesn't have skill, that he's not maximizing this team. I just think you've got a lot to maximize here. And when I think about who on this team is deserving of the MVP, I'm looking at the most versatile guy, and that's where I go to McCaffrey. Because I can give you all those stats. I can give you McCaffrey stats. Leads the NFL in rushing, leads the NFL in receiving yards for a running back, all that stuff.
I know the one thing that does seem to be slowing down your argument, even for you, is when people bring up Jimmy G. You're like, well, yeah, that's true. But
what am I going to say?
You know what? Part of this
got nothing. He turned the ball over at the worst time.
He wasn't that bad. Jimmy G could win a lot of football games. I'm not sure how. The people keep talking about the 3-game losing streak with Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Debo got hurt. Trent Williams got hurt. And he lost games. But you have to remember the 2 games that he played really badly at Cleveland in the driving rain, and they were still in a position to win it. And he lost at Minnesota. Now, I got to tell you, Brian Flores is destroying people. He is on a one-man wrecking crew, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. So I'm not forgiving them completely, but that's 2 tough situations. They didn't have as good games. Can you give them a little pass for not playing well against Cleveland? Because no one's playing well against them.
You're right, and I will always – I think – with any kind of MVP, I think you can always take you could take 1 game and throw it out.
Okay.
Like if Dak's going to win this year.
Like Dak against the Niners, right?
They're going to take that game and it's going to throw it out. I think you get 1. I think it's kind of like the Heisman too. Like you get 1 that I think you can be bad and you can still win the award.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, everybody's going to throw interceptions. Everyone's going to have bad games. There's no quarterback who's going to go 50 touchdowns with no picks. So, I mean, your guy Josh Allen's in the MVP race. I assume he has his usual number of obscene interceptions.
Oh yeah, 8 games in a row. But here, you hope he gets
and he's in the
early.
MVP race too.
Yeah,
it's not a race of perfect quarterbacks.
Okay,
There's always flaws.
That's why I like McCaffrey, because the versatility means that even if he can't run the ball like at the line of scrimmage, he can be in the pass game. Like it's not just screens. He can run routes. He can do all these things that like get an offense going.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if Brock Purdy, has a bad throw or something like that, they always hand the ball off like the next 3 plays in a row just to get the offense going again.
Well, yeah, but the NFC title game last year, Purdy got hurt and it was over. So they do need him as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime your quarterback gets hurt, and
because he's the most valuable guy on the field.
But here's the thing: also, the backup got hurt.
Yeah.
Could Josh Johnson have won that game?
No, he was not going to win that game.
Also, here's the other thing about that: Kyle Shanahan has to stop trying to block Hassan Reddick with a tight end. Please.
Oh, yeah, but that's how you get all those giant holes because you're not wasting time with pass blocking.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Talk about the expectations for one team, especially going into this weekend. Sky high. Who is it? We'll let you know next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Must-win games around the NFL this week. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And must-win game when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills, one of the marquee games this weekend. There are more, but a marquee game. You guys know I'm a Bills fan. Clearly, this is a must-win for Buffalo. They're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like they're, when people go tubing or something on a lake and the person's trying to knock you off. Like, this is the Bills. They're hanging on for dear life in this one.
That's why everyone's picking the Bills, because they're the desperate team. I keep hearing desperate and Bills in the same sentence.
For my whole life. Anyway, yes, desperation definitely helps in these kind of circumstances. But I'm also calling this a big game for Dallas and a must-win for Dallas as well. Because here's why. Dallas, to me, still should be having designs on the number 1 overall seed and should have designs on definitely winning the NFC East. Like, you still have so much to play for. Not just that, because San Francisco's schedule is not that easy coming down the stretch, right? Like, they've got to play Baltimore. They've got some people standing in their way. Dallas has a chance because both Dallas and San Francisco have twin 5-game winning streaks. Dallas has a chance to be the hottest team going into the playoffs. And I think that does mean something. That was not the case last year. Last year, the case was that Dallas was a team that was turning the ball over late in the season, Dak's interceptions, and, are they going to be able to flip a switch in the playoffs? This, to me, is Dallas could be a locomotive going into the playoffs. Winning at Buffalo, that's huge. And obviously for the Bills, we know this is huge. They're scratching and clawing because they put themselves in such a hole earlier in the season.
Yeah, I don't see them getting the number 1 seed. And I think that San Francisco is sitting there. I think we're going to go in the postseason. Everyone's going to say the same thing. Oh, God, here we go again. Dallas has to play the Niners. I mean, it'll be the 3rd year in a row.
Yep.
And I think the Cowboys have entered the postseason with a lot of momentum, and it's been meaningless because I just don't think people are going to trust them against the Niners no matter what happens here. No matter what they do the rest of the season, they're coming into the playoffs, and they're clearly going to have to beat San Francisco at some point to advance. Forget Philly. Forget Detroit. The Niners are sitting there for them. So is it real? I don't think they're getting the number 1 seed. So I understand the 2 versus the 5 because you don't want to play San Francisco in the divisional round.
Right.
But
that means winning the NFC.
But the 5 is almost a bye as well.
But we watched that movie last year with the Dallas Cowboys.
Right,
you went in, you beat Tampa, you retired Tom Brady, and then couldn't keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, actually the Cowboys were pretty fire going into at the end of last year. They were winning at a high rate too. It doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry, like the Cowboys have to do it against San Francisco in the postseason. They could go in and win their last bunch of games, they could blow everyone out. I'm not going to be convinced. I'm sorry, and I think I'm in the large majority. I think everybody's waiting to see Dallas in the postseason, so it doesn't matter. And they definitely don't want to go to San Francisco, but they're not going to have a choice. I'm sorry, San Francisco is not losing.
Okay, well, I think both teams have like 2 winnable games, 2 losable games, if you will, when you're talking about San Francisco and Dallas. Okay. So obviously you're at the Cardinals this week. I mean,
okay, we'll give them that. Who
I think
else?
that's going to win. Ravens.
In San Francisco.
But
and the
still,
Ravens, by the way, there's a lot to be determined about the Ravens. The Ravens just went to overtime with the Rams in Baltimore.
Well, and that brings me, so you have Cardinals, at Cardinals, home for Ravens, at Washington Commanders. I think that's going to be a win.
Yeah.
And then home for the Rams. And the Rams are
That's
plucky.
going to be an 8-point spread.
No, but the Rams will likely be desperate here because they're the ones who are going to be maybe on the fringe of getting a playoff spot. So I think that's definitely not a gimme. And then for
That's
Dallas.
a gimme. That is a gimme. I'm sorry. In San Francisco, week 8, there's no way the Rams win that game. Okay, go ahead.
And then I would say for Dallas, it's like 2 winnable and maybe 2 losable games. At the Buffalo Bills, at the Miami Dolphins, home for the Lions. The Lions are cratering right now, and then at the Commanders. So I think there's like.
Well, it is obviously much harder for the Cowboys. You just said.
Tell me what you've been saying about the Dolphins.
Well, it's at Buffalo though.
Okay, at Buffalo, this is going to be a big game, and then at the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have just lost their entire offensive line basically. Everything. This is the worst possible time.
And where's the Detroit game?
In Dallas.
Okay, Detroit is 9-4 or 9-5 or something. So you have these winning teams. I mean, San Francisco, if they get by the Ravens, it's done. That is the key game. And I just think the fact that that game's in San Francisco gives them such an edge. By the way, the Eagles also have the tiebreaker against the Cowboys. So the Eagles have to lose on Monday night to the Seahawks, or they could just storm into the number 1 seed. That's why Dallas might easily win this game, and it might not help.
I think that they are looking at this as another statement win, which would be like what happened against the Eagles last week. You don't believe in statement wins.
No,
I do.
Especially regular season for this Dallas Cowboys team.
Well, then everyone shouldn't have been, so impressed by the 49ers when they beat the Dallas Cowboys earlier this season.
The 49ers are great in the playoffs under Kyle Shanahan. The Cowboys have had a lot of signature wins under Mike McCarthy. They've been 12-5 2 years in a row. Hasn't done anything.
Well, I think this does feel different with the Cowboys, but you and I disagree about that. And I think Dallas is absolutely gunning for that number 1 overall seed. And quite frankly, everyone who has a shot at it should be, because it's the only team that gets a bye. Yeah. That bye has proven to be a difference maker. I actually don't like it. I liked the double bye. I liked when the first and the second seed both had a bye on the first weekend. But, we need more money and expanding playoffs and changing formats and all.
Listen, for the Philadelphia Eagles, it's huge too, because they need San Francisco to lose that Baltimore game, and then they'll probably get the number 1 seed. And they're beat up and need rest and tired and old. So Dallas is probably not going to. The odds are, if you look at the odds, is not going to get the number 1 seed. It doesn't matter. They're going to have to face San Francisco, their worst nightmare, their boogeyman. So they're going to have to do it somewhere. It doesn't matter if the 1 seed or the 5 seed. They have to prove it. And are you feeling you picked them? Sorry, you picked them to go to the Super Bowl.
I did.
Do you feel confident facing San Francisco in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, no, because if I go on recent history, I can't feel confident, but I do feel that those were 1-score games. And not in the regular season, it was a massive blowout earlier this year, but in the playoffs, it's been 1-score games. So they've been, low scoring, 1-score games. All right. It's not like they are coming off of getting the doors blown off of them.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But if San Francisco is fully healthy like they've been this year, it feels like a tough assignment. To me, San Francisco is the dominant team. I wish I'd picked them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel better about the Cowboys than my AFC pick.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys is a great pick. I mean, I think they're going to be right there. There's nothing wrong with that, but the juggernaut that is the Niners right now.
Yeah.
Who's your AFC pick?
The Jags.
Yeah.
And part of it is because I thought they were going to get the number 1 seed, because I thought the schedule was going to help them and they would get this all-important bye. But it turns out that maybe the AFC South has a little something to say about all of this.
Boy, I picked the Steelers because Kenny Pickett was slinging it around in the preseason. There's no dumber pick than that, Maggie. Yeah.
Well,
unless you pick the Chargers.
Okay, so EJ's going to give us a couple more games for this weekend, and you're welcome to call in 855-212-4CBS. For the Bills side of this, we get it. Like they need this. They have no margin for error. For the Dallas side, though, I think this is absolutely crucial for them, because they should be going for that number 1 seed as well. No doubt. And you're welcome to weigh in. Again, 855-212-4CBS. EJ's going to give us a couple more games. We'll tell you whether or not they're must-wins.
Let's go to a pair of 2 7-6 teams. You got Vikings, Bengals. Who is it more of a must-win game for this week?
I got to say the Bengals. I mean, you're hanging on. You're hanging in. How? Maybe Jake Browning is actually a good quarterback. This is possible. Why can't he be Brock Purdy? Yeah, I played a lot of games in college, now getting thrown in. I think this is possible. Just keep throwing the ball to Jamar Chase.
I feel a little bad for Jake Browning, because I love a good backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Brian Flores, the Vikings coordinator, is on a heater, and he's going to throw all sorts of weird blitzes at him. I think the Jake Browning party ends on Sunday. That being said, I don't know if Nick Mullins can score for Minnesota either. So they could end up with a win. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tougher day for Jake Browning, which doesn't necessarily mean they'll lose. Yeah, I know you guys, Maggie, you think that the Bengals can make some postseason noise.
Yeah, I think
with Jake
Browning could be like the next Nick Foles or something.
Yeah, but Nick Foles, and I said this earlier in the week, he won at home. I mean, there's no way the Bengals are going to have to be road warriors, which they could do with Joe Burrow, but I feel like it's too tough an assignment. This is going to be a nasty game. This is going to be hard. Nick Mullins versus Jake Browning, and the way these defenses can play, this could be a tough game.
Also, I think for the Vikings, though, it's like the NFC, there's just feels like there's a little bit more wiggle room there than the AFC.
And also, the Vikings aren't going anywhere even if they make the playoffs. That's the thing. Nobody expects, no one's talking about them making a run.
No, they've got quarterback issues they need to work out.
So another Saturday 7-6 matchup. We have Steelers Colts in Indianapolis. Who is this more of a must-win game for?
I can't wait for this game.
Oh, this is Indianapolis.
I'm so excited about this game.
Indianapolis might be the 7-6, right?
Yeah.
They might be the
7-6.
ugliest 7-6 team I've ever seen. They've beaten no one, and the Steelers are even worse somehow.
No, I'm not expecting this to be like pretty by any sense, but think about how the Colts are in the playoff chase. Like, this is amazing. I never know. I watch so many of their games, and I still really don't know. People say Gardner Minshew. I'm like, really? Yes, he's a high-end backup, but is that really the reason? This all feels like this amazing game of smoke and mirrors that I just can't figure out. And then for the Steelers, this is what we call embattled. This is what we call some adversity here. You have just lost back-to-back games against 2-win teams. You got Ben Roethlisberger coming out and throwing shade at you. Players have no answers for this. Mike Tomlin is feeling the heat. Like, guys, this game's got it all.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Colts have a good roster. They definitely have good players all over the field, but they just don't. They've not been playing well.
But like Jonathan Taylor's out. It's like doesn't matter, I guess, because Zach Moss.
I've seen a lot of betting metrics on this. Tomlin in this situation as an underdog is really good. Tomlin the last 2 weeks as a favorite, not so good. And this is a classic Steelers rally after 2 bad games.
I know
Classic
you're doing
Mike
on the
Tomlin.
road. Like, this is not going to be easy.
Here's the big issue. Is TJ Watt playing and at what level? So that is definitely an issue. You take TJ Watt off the Steelers, he's an MVP.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that kind of colors this game. I don't think either team is any good at all. I'm sorry. I think the Colts are fun to root for, like you said, but they're not good.
So really quickly, there was a quick update to this. It happened late last night, I believe. TJ Watt did clear concussion protocol. He is expected to play. Now, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that's what's happening. So
yeah, good luck to him. Hope he has a dark tinted visor with him.
Yeah.
So let's go to from 7-6 Saturday to 6-7 Sunday. Packers hosting the BUCS. Who's this more of a must-win game for?
Love this one too.
Oh, this is Jordan Love comeback.
Yes.
And by the way, Jordan Love was not that bad against the Giants. He threw one bad pick where the ball was seen wobbling in the wind, and then he threw a game-winning touchdown, as Aaron Rodgers, my friend, said. The defense just could not hold up their end of the bargain against an undrafted rookie in Tommy DeVito. I love this spot because, like the Colts, I think the BUCS, even being in the playoff race, is a bit of a barrage. I know they won last week. I don't know how. I think this is a big Packers spot. I think I'm leaning already to make this as my one pick of the week. I like the Packers here. I think they have a much better shot than the BUCS. Because, I mean, are the BUCS good? Answer me that, Maggie.
I have no idea because Baker Mayfield completes less than 50% of his passes that are over 5 yards. And I don't know. I don't get it. It's still got the bones of a Super Bowl defense. So maybe.
I hate to do this too because you guys were killing me for saying the Eagles are tired. But the BUCS have been on the road a bunch lately. And they're on the road here. To me, that's the key factor in this game. A team like the BUCS is going to win at home, but they're not going to win a ton of road games. So unless it's against the NFC South. So I think this is a great spot for the Packers to jump back in.
Well, I'm going to go with you that I think this is more must-win for the Packers because, you just got embarrassed. I know that maybe, listen, I didn't think Jordan Love played well, even though he did lead a touchdown drive late in the game. You lost to Tommy Cutlets and the Giants, who were basically picking in the top 3 of the draft a minute and a half ago. Maybe you could have stole that game at the end, but they were getting thoroughly outplayed through 3.5 quarters of that game.
And if you're the BUCS, you're going to have so many bites at the apple when it comes to that that division. I mean, okay, if you lose this game, the Packers get a one-up on you in the wild card. The division, the Falcons and the Saints will find a way to keep you in the race. So this will not be the end, I think, for the BUCS. Let's go to Sunday night, a possible playoff preview. Ravens go to Jacksonville. Who is this more of a must-win game for?
Man, I think the Ravens, they need to keep winning and get that number 1 seed. Like, this is the moment here for Baltimore. I'm not trying to make this, more dramatic than it needs to be. But if you're Lamar Jackson, you've got to be looking at the rest of the AFC and thinking, this is my shot. You've got the Chiefs' offense is totally discombobulated compared to years past. They're on the ropes. Bills are a non-factor. Chargers are a non-factor. You got the whole the rest of your division is all backup quarterbacks. It's never going to break better for you than this. If Lamar's going to win a Super Bowl, it's got to be this year.
Things are getting wobbly in Baltimore. I really believe this. They're a good team, no doubt, but they tried really hard to lose that game to the Rams last week. And 2 weeks before, they almost lost to the Chargers, and we saw what the Chargers are.
Yeah.
And I don't think this necessarily means they're out of the championship contender. I don't think they're going to run the table here because Baltimore, there's something just a little bit off right now. I just saw it in the Rams game. That defense, Matthew Stafford, who has been good but not great, just lit them up. They've had a lot of close games. The other thing, you look at Baltimore's schedule, who have they beaten? It's definitely, they've beaten good teams at home, but they've had a very, very lucky schedule. They've had a lot of backup quarterbacks on there. So I do think they're untested in a sense.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227, the must-win game of the weekend. You are welcome to weigh in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. And guys, by the way, our holiday initiative is underway. So every time you hit subscribe on our YouTube or Twitch channel, we donate $1 to charity. That's 1 for 1. You hit subscribe, we donate $1. Perloff, myself, our boss Spike Eskin is contributing as well. It's all for a great cause. It goes to the Boys and Girls Club, who we have developed a nice relationship with, earmarked towards youth sports programs. And we are, thrilled to do it, want to do it. You hit subscribe, you've done something. You've done something this holiday season that will help a young child. Okay, 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, bowl season is upon us. We got the best for you of the weekend. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, back on Maggie and Perloff. Is this some old legal procedure show?
No. This is Judge Wapner, People's Court.
There you go, People's Court.
Yeah. Oh, nice. The Carlos running the board is doing legal-themed music for my grand jury service, which is ruining my life. No big deal. Thank you, criminals of New York City.
All of you. Every one of you.
But I like this one. We were having an interesting debate during the break. I am a strictly metal Christmas tree guy, and I do not understand these people who get real trees.
We've always done a real tree. I've never done an artificial tree. And Carlos, you said you're a fake tree. EJ, or what's your situation?
We have a fake tree right now. I like real trees, but I'm being moved to the fake tree argument.
Okay, here's my question about the fake tree, though, because I've never had a fake tree. We only do the real tree. How do you get that lovely pine scent in your home if it's a fake tree?
Well, you don't.
Right. And that's a big part of it.
Just spray some Febreze on it.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
The worst day of the year, and I'm sorry, I love my in-laws to death, but December 26th, all the presents are unwrapped, all the fun is over. Now you're just looking at a bleak winter ahead, and you have to clean up this 8.5-foot tree. They have this massive tree, my wife's parents, and it takes the better part of a day. Everyone kills their back getting it out of there. There's always water everywhere, pine needles, every nook and cranny.
It's the worst.
It's just so, I'm already depressed thinking about that day. I hate December 26th.
So you think cleaning up a tree is bad? I have a tree story for you. So it's probably around 2008.
Oh, no. This better not have a rat in it.
No rats. No rats.
Gosh.
So it was about 2008. My mom, she got real trees. She loves Christmas trees. She loves decorating them. Tree went up. Christmas happens. New Year's happens. Martin Luther King Day happens.
No.
Valentine's Day happens.
No.
March Madness happens.
Oh, no.
Christmas tree still in our living room.
Oh,
no. I'm anxious hearing about that.
A real Christmas tree.
and right next to it is the pumpkin from Halloween.
No, we kept it going. She watered it. She kept it going. It was not like moldy or anything.
But there's no roots. How does it survive?
Look, this tree survived.
Did you take the ornaments off?
No,
I think the ornaments may have come off at a certain point, but the tree never got taken out. In part, probably because nobody wanted to do the cleanup. And the only time the tree went down was when we had our DirecTV guy had to come in to fix our cable. He walks into our living room
to watch the NBA Finals.
He walks into our living room, stops cold in his tracks and sees a Christmas tree in April. And my mom says, I know, I have a Christmas tree. Leave me alone. And he's like, I was not going to say anything.
Yeah, but he was judging the you-know-what out of you guys.
Oh, yes. And to be clear, we were being run in a dictatorship household. None of us wanted the tree up. She was the one that had no problem leaving it up there until that moment when she was embarrassed, and then finally the tree came down.
Nothing like a little public shame to get people to do stuff.
Now does she get rid of it in normal time, or is she still kind of hanging on a little
again?
more?
It's around Martin Luther King Day. So January for her is good.
What's the appropriate day? It's right after New Year's.
New Year's Day is the embargo.
New Year's,
for
I think, for normal people.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's a New Year's Day situation. But I also think, man, that's so amazing. I think what your mom should have done is like you take off the ornaments and the Christmas stuff, and then you decorate it like for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that would be really cool.
So like leprechauns and
it just
stuff
becomes
on.
the house tree.
Exactly. And you're kind of going with every. Put Valentine's Day stuff on there. It's a Valentine's tree.
There's not much to celebrate in the summer. Wouldn't it be nice to have St. Patty's Day and Valentine's Day and Christmas all over your house?
You can't have a 4th of July tree? Just put like little Americana ornaments on it?
Well, that might be a fire hazard with fireworks. Who knows?
Well, I didn't say set it on fire.
It'd be nice and dry at that point. Tinder.
That is the thing, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, fake tree, real tree. The debate is on. Maybe poll question at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Okay. We got to take a look at who's got home field advantage this weekend in our NCAA football preview. It's sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott. Fairfield by Marriott is the official hotel partner of the NCAA with over 1,000 locations around the country. You'll always have the home field advantage. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your stay. EJ has a preview of the bowl game you need to watch this weekend.
Here we go. Tonight, UCLA will make a short trip to SoFi Stadium for a showdown with Boise State in the LA Bowl. It is one of our newest bowl games, debuting in 2021. The game pits every year the Pac-12 against the Mountain West, and the first two matchups, it was little brother coming out on top. So you had Utah State beating Oregon State in 2021, Fresno State beating Washington State in 2022. So, will it happen again? We'll see. It will be a battle of backup quarterbacks. UCLA's Dante Moore and Boise State's Taylon Green are both in the transfer portal. So that means Boise freshman C.J. Tiller is making his first ever start. It'll be UCLA junior Ethan Garbers starting for the Bruins. It will also be the first game for Boise head coach Spencer Danielson without the interim tag. He was elevated to full-time head coach on December 3rd, and I'm particularly excited about the uniform matchup. Two of my favorite uniforms. You got the blue and orange or whatever the hell Boise's wearing because they have like a million different uniforms. And then UCLA, the crisp light blue, or they can go with the white, but those gold helmets shine beautifully. Awesome uniform matchup. Cool setting. I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
Love it.
C.J. Tiller's a great quarterback name for Boise State. How could that guy go wrong? I have a question. What's the latest? Is Chip Kelly staying, going? I can't even remember how that story ended.
I mean, generally you fire the person before the bowl game, don't you?
Well, remember he got fired and then he beat USC and he's back now.
Yeah.
So they're going with Chip Kelly. So I like the Boise State angle. There is not a more boring football team in America than UCLA. EJ, you sold me for the most part, but they suck the life out of games.
Well, their defense is really good, and so,
yeah, I know.
So it's not fun. I know.
And also, one more thing: the LA Bowl. Does that? I mean,
that was Jimmy Kimmel. Didn't he sponsor that?
Is it
a couple years?
That's a Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
So,
I don't know. That's not the bowls of my youth. The Blue Bonnet Bowl, the LA Bowl.
Well, it's not. It's not Jimmy anymore. It's Starco Brands.
Yeah.
What do they make? Sounds like
Starco
Arkham
Brands
Asylum.
LA Bowl. I mean, come on.
Starco Brands. No, never heard of them. But if they'd like to sponsor our show, then we are all in. Cool
hey, question, EJ, you're going to be doing this moving forward?
Yeah. Every day, every bowl game. Every day we have a bowl game. I'll give you an update.
Nice. Is gift bags still a thing? Or are they still doing?
Supposedly you get all this crazy swag still. So that's the big reason why kids love the bowl games. Now there's NIL money going out, so I don't know how much it's still a cool thing. But before, it was the only time you could accept gifts and not get NCAA violations.
Can you incorporate some gift bag stuff into some of these bowl updates as well? Because I always fascinated.
I do some crack research here.
Perloff loves free stuff. 855-212-4CBS. Just quick, that game's tomorrow, right? Not today.
Oh, sorry. Yes, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Peter Schwartz is here. He's got headlines.
And I like free stuff, too.
Well, everybody does.
You don't say.
I seem to be the only person around here, though, that gets criticized for wanting free stuff.
Okay, so I heard a little bit more. Peter's got a big thing going on tonight where he's going to be part of Boomer and Gio's live show. And he's getting some amazing Yankee tickets for participating, and what you're doing is getting marshmallow fluff spread all over your body.
Yeah, I'm Schwartzy the Snowman.
Schwartzy the Snowman. Is it true you're getting another perk out of this that you did not tell us in hour number 1?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
We thought there might have been some kind of deal on a car.
No. That was way overblown. No,
Okay.
One of our cars died a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So these things have a way of getting a little exaggerated. So people think that Boomer Esiason paid for my entire family's vacation over the summer, when it didn't really happen. He helped out with some tickets for something. So then everybody assumed that when my car died, that Boomer was going to buy us
something.
a car.
Yeah.
Now, to his credit, he did try to help by hooking me up with a car dealer, but that didn't work out because I'm not in Boomer's financial stratosphere where the car that was shown to me was going to fit in our budget. We wound up buying a car.
Okay.
By the way, you were talking about, there's a lot of layers going on here. It does sound like you're getting a deal somewhere because you didn't answer anything directly. You're like, well,
listen,
Boomer might have had a hand in my vacation.
I fully admit that I take advantage of a lot of opportunities that are afforded to me around here. But there was an added perk for tonight that was offered to me if I chose to wear this wrestling singlet.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, the car stuff, the Yankee Legends tickets, like, I think you should put on the singlet. I'm not trying to peer pressure you. Some would say bully. I mean, I just think that it's really, it's a small thing to ask. And like, I know if maybe you're like, you don't want to wear it, why? Because it's self-conscious a little bit. Like, you're about to be covered in marshmallow fluff.
They were trying to get me to do it. I was saying, well, it's great. Like, you look like The Rock or like I don't have The Rock's physique.
Well, none of us do.
Like,
You're pretty muscular guy. I just checked you out.
No, it's not muscle, Perloff. It's fat.
I don't know.
It's not muscle. I haven't worked out never in my life.
Was that an HR violation? I just leaned back to my chair and checked out Peter Schwartz's body. Is that frowned upon?
It's an illusion. No, there was an offer made that if I wore it, what would it take for me to wear it?
Yeah.
And
so you're bargaining?
No, they're trying to get me to do it. And like, what would it take for you to do it? And I'm like, I don't know if there's anything to get me to do it.
Well, that's wrong because you should be doing it for a car.
Well, I already bought the car.
You already bought a new car?
No, I already bought the car. No, I don't think the car. I don't think the car. I think their offer was, well, what kind of tickets would you want in addition to the Yankee tickets? What would it take to get me in? I sound like a car salesman now. What will it take to get you into the singlet?
Okay, well, we're going to let Peter do headlines while I'm going to think of what he should have asked for. You go ahead.
I suppose it's still on the table because the show doesn't start till 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight.
You're going to have to wear the singlet, but I'm going to help you. Let me think. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's begin with Thursday Night Football, and it was such a bad night for the Chargers that the team's radio broadcast team had no choice but to stick it out.
Have you decided whether you want to stand up or sit down yet?
I think I want to lay down under the desk.
I was looking for a blindfold, but apparently you can't do this job with a blindfold.
No, we have to watch and do our best to bring you some entertaining play-by-play and analysis of what has been wildly disappointing. Here's a double pass to the end zone, and hey, why not? Just humiliate him. Double pass to Davante Adams for the touchdown. That's the second double pass they have run flawlessly.
That was Matt Money Smith and Daniel Jeremiah trying to make the best of things on Chargers radio.
That is the nicest radio duo. Those are great guys.
I know, but you got to get Al Michaels on this thing. You just got to get openly salty. I mean, they were salty, but they seem depressed. Like you're not out there playing.
I
mean, that
was
is
so sad that it was funny.
Yeah.
Al has gotten some bad draws this year. You never had 3 minutes in, this was over. This was the worst draw he had.
Last night, they started telling this amazing story about Easton Stick and about his college coach from North Dakota State, who's now at Kansas State, and how Easton Stick started crying when he was talking about the coach that gave him a chance.
Oh, I saw that.
The next play was a sack fumble. I was like, oh, the timing of that
story.
Oh, boy.
Matt Money Smith, Daniel Jeremiah, Chargers radio, pour them. The Raiders hammer the Chargers 63-21. They set a single-game franchise scoring record. Head coach Antonio Pierce said his team played with a lot of energy.
Just look at the sideline. I think if you want to watch the game, if you didn't see it, you could just hear it. There's a lot of energy down there by those guys. Hats off to our team responding, 4 days after what just happened here previously.
And that was Sunday's 3-0 loss to the Vikings. Big night last night for Aiden O'Connell with 4 touchdown
Super
passes.
proud of our guys, really, for executing well. I think, we were almost spared to have a short week here, so we couldn't really think about what happened. We had to move on, and, just got to move on from everything that happened on Sunday was great for us, and to be able to do this is pretty awesome. It was really, every phase did a really good job, and it was really fun to watch and fun to be a part of.
And on the flip side of things, you had the Chargers and head coach Brandon Staley, who feels bad for the fans.
I hate it for our fans. I hate it for the players because I know what they're putting into this. I know what this season has been. We've fallen short, but we've been in the fight every week, until this one. And this one stings because, we haven't had a game like this. And, again, I take full responsibility. I really care about the group of men in that locker room. I believe in them. We're going to get some rest, and we're going to get ready for Buffalo.
If he's still the head coach for the Buffalo game. We'll have to see what happens with that. But now to baseball. Dodgers formally introduced Shohei Ohtani at Dodgers Stadium, and he is excited to be on a team that wants to win.
One thing that really stands out in my head is when I had the meeting with the Dodgers, the ownership group, they said when they look back at the last 10 years, even though they've made the playoffs every single year, one World Series ring, they consider that a failure. And when I heard that, I knew that they were all about winning, and that's exactly how I feel. So that's one of the things that stood out.
Ohtani, when I could help them circumvent the salary cap in an unprecedented way, I just had to say, let's get on board.
Well, speaking of that, he did talk about only making $2 million a year, the rest being deferred.
I was looking into it and doing some calculations, and I figured, if I can defer as much money as I can, if that's going to help the CBT and that's going to help the Dodgers and be able to sign better players and make a better team, I felt like that was worth it, and I was willing to go that direction, so that's why I made that choice.
Listen, it's honorable. Like, it's totally noble what he's doing, and I if I'm a Dodger fan, I'm like over the moon happy that he's decided to do this. But first of all, it just feels like it should be illegal. It feels like you're gaming the system. And then the second part of this, which I know no one is that involved, like jazzed about, but like if he's trying to do this to circumvent some kind of California state tax, I would say good luck to you, because they are going to come after you with that money. Yeah. I don't think that's as easy. And then you're going to have like potential court situation where now your money could get tied up, or you're going to have lawyer fees. Yeah. So athletes have gotten in trouble for this stuff before. Like international soccer players like Messi and Ronaldo have gotten in big trouble for not paying taxes.
Right. They actually broke tax laws. Shohei Ohtani can live till he's 195 years old and will not be able to spend 1/8 of his money. That guy is, they're just, people are lining up and handing him Brinks trucks of money. It doesn't matter what he does here. It's not like, oh, well, this is going to be a tough tax situation for a man who made $45 million in endorsements last year.
That's not that's not the argument. The argument is not whether or not he needs every last dollar. The argument is, was this a good deal or not?
Well, obviously.
Okay, but if you end up having to pay all these taxes anyways and all that stuff, then was it even a good deal?
Well, it was a good deal.
He's still going to be rich beyond belief. I get that.
It's a good deal in the sense that he gives himself a better chance of winning a World Series, which will ironically make him even more money in endorsements. He'll become basically as big as Tiger Woods internationally. He'll be the biggest international. If he wins a World Series, he will be so huge.
No, I get it. I just it
great.
Feels like it's illegal.
Well, I mean, the NFL kind of does this where you kick the can down the road, like Drew Brees or all these guys had these massive contracts when 8 years it was all due, so they could build a little bit of a team around them.
But eventually, like, it does become due.
Or you take a little bit less, like Tom Brady. I've always said this. I mean, why doesn't LeBron play for $1? I mean, this $35 million or whatever he makes next year, it's not going to impact his bottom line at all.
I get it, but it would be illegal.
I know.
The league would step in, just like the league should have stepped in for this.
The players' union would absolutely never allow LeBron, someone of his caliber, to say, "I'm gonna take $1."
Well,
or the league minimum.
Yeah, but I mean, like
$500,000.
Like the players' union would say, they wouldn't have any legal right to stop him from doing it. He could do it if he wanted to. They would just be mad at him. Right.
I mean, and I'm sure you don't want to have the whole league union be mad at you. And that, he's been like a vice president of the union.
I understand.
The Players Association remember when A-Rod was going to go to the Red Sox?
Yeah, they stepped in.
They stepped in because he was going to take a pay cut to go to the Red Sox, and then the Players Association stepped in. So you would think if this was a problem for the Players Association, they would have said, no, you cannot play for $2 million a year.
This is egregious, but remember Patrick Mahomes played with the margins. He had this specifically designed contract to allow them to keep Chris Jones. I mean, he did a lot of things that
He's specific, and he has renegotiated that.
He
By
has
the way,
renegotiated-
that story didn't get a lot of publicity, but
he still has
making
kept
a
the
ton.
cap somewhat manageable in Kansas City. He hasn't done like who are the guys who famously killed Drew Brees?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron
Drew
Rodgers.
Brees took
Well,
every
Aaron
down.
Rodgers gave back a lot of money this year.
Well, this
with
year.
the Packers.
Yeah. Also, if Mahomes is taking such a pay cut, and Kelsey, by the way, is underpaid for what he brings because he gets paid like a tight end when he clearly should get paid like a wide receiver. And they still don't have good weapons.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. But they are, I imagine, there's so many good players on that team. I bet you they're paying a ton of money.
Yeah, but Chris Jones, that was a huge contract situation. He sat out the first game.
Yeah, but didn't they sign him, or am I imagining that? Did they not sign Chris Jones yet?
They gave him
like a
marginal
1-year tender, and then
Yeah, no, it was like marginal upgrade. It was like marginal raises if he hits all these certain benchmarks.
Who's that sound like? Sounds very much like the New England Patriots. That's how you win. You got to be hardcore on this cap.
Now, you remember when Shohei Ohtani announced that he was going to play for the Dodgers, he had his dog in the picture.
Yeah.
And everybody was wondering what was the name of the dog. Well, that came up in the press conference yesterday.
So his name is Dekoping. That's a Japanese name, and I figured it would be hard for American people to pronounce it, so he has an American name, and it's Decoy. So, yeah, you could call him Decoy or Dekoping.
I'll go with
Dekoping.
Do we know what decopine means?
No.
Okay.
I didn't look into it that far.
All right.
I'll just call him Decoy. That's fine.
Well, I thought that. I think I might have found it here, but I thought that he said decoy like my dog's name is. What's my dog's name? Gullible. Like, oh boy, I guess I walked into that one or something like that. According to quick Google search, decopine means the act of flicking someone's forehead with your finger.
I can't be with that dog.
I can't.
Sounds
be
like a junior high thing.
like something I'd want to do to some people that work around here.
Yeah.
We'll do a little more research on that.
That's pretty cool that they have a word for that.
Yeah, in English, this would just be like bing.
Yeah.
What else? What do we call it? There's a lot of things we
Teacher,
don't have names for.
he just deco-pinned me.
We need a word for that, and we need a word for whatever Tommy Cutlets is doing.
The capiche thing? Or?
Yeah,
I'm balling over here.
We need a word for that.
It's not a paisano?
No, on the Giants broadcast, they call it the Italian thing. That's what Bob Papa called it.
And he's Italian.
Yeah, so Bob would know, right? Anyway.
I think everybody knows what happened in the NBA last night. So I think. Do we have more time?
No, we're good.
No, we're out of time.
We definitely don't have
good.
time.
We spent too much time on Shohei's dog. There we go.
Peter, did you say everybody knows what happened in the NBA last night? Carlos came down and read me the box score, so I'm well aware.
Well, we got a lot more to do, Peter. Thank you so much. Coming up, we do have some Maggie and Perloff picks to get to. We also have the one player who's feeling the most pressure this weekend in the NFL. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. Stream the NFL Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free testing and battery charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. All right, Maggie, it is bowl season, and we had an interesting discussion earlier with Peter Schwartz. You suggested that he wear a singlet, a wrestling singlet.
Well, tonight, before he gets marshmallow fluff put all over his body for a event.
You are aware why singlets are on your mind.
Yeah, they are on my mind because singlets are at stake for this show.
That's looming over my entire holiday season.
This is going to be our first show bet of 2024. This is going to happen, where it all depends on Michigan and Alabama. If Michigan wins, EJ and I both have to wear a singlet on the show, wrestling singlet. If Alabama wins, Perloff's got to wear the singlet.
So I think this is also unfair because we made this bet before Michigan even made the Final Four. I was so confident in Michigan. They could have lost to Ohio State, almost did lose to Ohio State, would have been out. So I thought there should have been better odds. But I got to tell you, I'm going to be sitting at Christmas dinner thinking, you know what? Should I have this extra dessert? I'm going to be half naked on the air.
Well, and I'd feel a little bit more nervous if I were you, because we got a story yesterday, some real old school tactics going on between Alabama and Michigan. So while Michigan has their sign stealing and Connor Stallions, Nick Saban's doing this thing the old-fashioned way, where he hired a former Michigan linebacker coach right before the bowl game. So this guy was not coaching this year, but coached the previous 2 years at Michigan. Saban brings him on as a consultant right before the bowl game. I mean, that's old school. I love it. Getting every intel, every angle possible, and make your opponent sweat a little bit.
So it's funny about this game. Michigan is favored, but I don't get a sense that they're going to be favored come kickoff. Don't you think that everybody's on Alabama? Have you heard anybody say, I think Michigan's going to handle Alabama? Because if you just taking the temperature of the country on this game, feels like everyone thinks Alabama has a momentum. Now they have this coach. I'm not hearing a lot of Michigan love. For whatever reason, you're not hearing people impressed by Michigan. The other theory is that Michigan has been playing really vanilla offense to save it for the Final Four. They didn't show anything against Iowa, so maybe they'll have more tricks in the bag, but they're not inspiring me right now.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Michigan is more like just the machine. It's kind of slow, steady. It's just like it's impenetrable this year.
Right.
They've been so good. Alabama, they look vulnerable at times.
Yeah.
They didn't know their quarterback for the first 4 weeks, and now they're coming on. They pulled this upset of Georgia. You got Jalen Milroe says he's coming back for another year, so no one's thinking ahead to the NFL. It's just like we got to win this game.
Well, the funny thing you say, they're both big offensive lines, big defensive lines, so they're very similar teams. This should be a slugfest. Yeah, if you guys want to switch right now, I'll take Alabama and give you Michigan.
I'm good.
Absolutely not.
Carlos?
Carlos isn't a part of the bet.
Help.
Yeah, I had Michigan with you. So
yeah, he actually was. We forgot.
Carlos, you were part of that bet.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for taking off.
We should make Pete Bellotti wear the singlet, though, because that would be a visual.
No, but I think he might like it, though. He'd get into character. He loves wrestling.
The reason why that we're wearing the singlet is because Ric Flair went to Michigan to speak to the team, symbolizing an official heel turn for the Michigan program in the midst of the Connor Stallions, debacle. So, we're inspired by wrestling.
So
and Pete does love wrestling. So does EJ. Carlos?
I love wrestling.
There you go.
So if we all wear these singlets, what pro wrestler will we look like? I picture you like Jane Fonda in the 80s workout video. See, a singlet isn't really a thing, but EJ said there's one woman wrestler who wears a singlet.
Yes. You got Maxine Dupree.
Okay.
I'm not going to look like her, so let's just lower the bar.
EJ, who would you think you would look like?
Probably like a Shelton Benjamin, I'm thinking.
Oh, that's a good pull.
Yeah, Shelton Benjamin. He when he was with Team Angle, the world's greatest tag team.
Wait a minute.
Not as jacked, by the way. Shelton Benjamin's in phenomenal shape, but that's a brother who wears a singlet, so I went with him.
Andrew Bogus just burst into the studio like the Kool-Aid man. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Where you been the last 2 hours, by the way?
Fair question. And I just realized that I'm listening outside on like a 30-second delay, so I might be a little behind on this, but I just wanted to comment on Pete Bellotti. I can confirm already wears a singlet daily under his clothes just in case. So this is not a bad thing or a loss for Bellotti.
That's a commitment to the bit.
He's just ready.
But the reason
in case anyone comes in,
a ladder match breaks out, he's ready to go.
He calls those weekdays.
The wrestler that he'll look like, can we all say it? He's George the Animal Steel, basically.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who is ironically a professor in his side job or something. George, and he passed away. Yeah, he passed away. Pete Bellotti is basically, he's going to be eating turnbuckles before long. Are there any 6'4", 185-pound wrestlers that wear glasses out there that you could possibly compare to me?
Yeah, they're probably in some backyard in Alabama in front of 10 people. Probably, yeah, probably some of those.
Be one of the guys from the Spirit Squad. Remember them?
Oh, yeah, there's those. But again.
No. You know how occasionally an executive comes out and gets involved? Like,
have you seen Vince McMahon wrestle?
Yeah, I know, but is there any other? Does Nick Khan get out there for AEW?
Nick Khan.
He's
never walked into the ring.
Gonna be honest, also not the same body type.
Yeah.
Nick Khan, actually,
Nick's a big guy.
Nick?
Thicker guy.
I outweigh Nick Khan by 45.
You're talking about Tony Khan.
Tony Khan, sorry.
No, you're talking about Tony Khan. Nick Khan is like a bigger dude.
Nick Khan's. Yeah,
Tony Khan runs you.
No, Tony Khan, Shad Khan's son from AEW. Yeah, Tony has been on a guest of the show. He's a little bit of a smaller guy.
Does he ever get in the ring?
No.
He's never once stepped in the ring to yell at somebody.
I got the perfect comparison from you. David Arquette wrestled in WCW. That's your guy.
David Arquette is
David Arquette.
He's a massive Hulk compared to me. He's
David
way bigger
Arquette
than
won
me.
the WCW World Championship.
Is he still married to Courtney Cox? They're divorced, right?
No.
Oh my God.
Long gone.
That did not end well. That 30 years ago.
My bad. But I'm sure they're probably making Scream 17, so luckily he
You're
gets
not
to
wrong
keep
about
working. Well, Bogusch, thank you.
Mom, my pleasure. Pete in a singlet. You're welcome, America.
Coming up, Perloff and I make our NFL picks, Maggie and Perloff style. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
So who deserves the MVP? Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, well, us too. But besides that, we're talking about the NFL. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you on this Football Friday. So Kyle Shanahan yesterday was asked whether Brock Purdy or Christian McCaffrey are the MVP in his opinion. Here is what Kyle Shanahan said. This is how he answered it.
Trying to get me in trouble with those two guys. That's the only reason I wouldn't overly comment on either one of them, because I don't want them to cancel each other out. But if any non-quarterback's going to get an MVP, I don't get how Christian McCaffrey can't. I mean, he's amazing in what he's done all year. If it's going to a quarterback, then I don't have to talk about Christian. I can talk about our quarterback, and I'm still, if his numbers is all you see, then I think that solves it up. But if you watch the film, then it makes it even stronger, which to me is the most important thing.
Okay, this is why MVP sucks right now, because it is just a quarterback award, and that's such a disservice, I think, not just to the other great offensive skill players, but to the league as a whole. Because, you know, to me, Brock Purdy, for as great as he is and, you know, for as good as a season he's having, and the story is remarkable, but he's not the MVP. Okay, this is someone who is great on the 49ers, right? Someone who is good at getting the ball to those multitude of weapons where it goes 6 down on the depth chart with how many guys can beat you on the 49ers. That's not MVP to me. That's point guard to me. Christian McCaffrey is the best of those weapons. He's the one who's the most versatile. He's the one who, no matter what's happening in the game, you can always go back to McCaffrey as your North Star. To me, he's the MVP, not Purdy.
Well, first of all, I think Deebo Samuel's as versatile. He's the definition of versatile. McCaffrey, you're right, is also very versatile, but everybody there is versatile. I think you're way underestimating what Brock Purdy does. I think those little short passes he throws and then it becomes a giant run, there's so much more skill in that. He throws a perfect short pass. You give him a little bit of a pocket and he's going to kill you. He's also moved around a lot with his legs this year, way more than before. I don't know how he's so healthy. But, I mean, he's bouncing off guys, and he's not a huge dude by any means. So I think Purdy is underrated for how good he's playing. And also, I do think he has a great chance to actually win the MVP. I don't think McCaffrey does.
Okay, well, in real life, I don't think McCaffrey does because the voting system is totally whack and not right. But here's the thing, though. What did you just say? Like, Purdy is really good at what? He does have some explosive passes, sure, I'll give you that, but he's good at getting the ball to the right person, and that person does all the work. That's why they call themselves the Yak Brothers. That's not like a ringing endorsement of Purdy. They're not doing that on purpose, obviously, Debo, Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, McCaffrey, but they're saying it without saying it, which is being able to throw timing routes in the NFL, that's like par for the course. You should be able to do that. The guys who can't throw timing routes, we find like don't progress in the NFL because you've got to be able to throw timing routes.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen doesn't do it, and it bothers me. He probably could not do well at San Francisco.
Do you think? And by the way, I love Lamar Jackson. Is he throwing timing routes?
He's throwing more now. I mean, he's holding the ball a little bit.
He's spending a year and a half in that pocket looking for a big play.
But those two guys you just mentioned are being asked to do almost everything for their team in offense. We're talking about this.
Jalen Hurts. He's also an MVP. You think he's throwing timing routes? No.
But we're talking about San Francisco. Let's keep it on that. We're talking about who deserves the MVP.
That's way harder to do than I think you're giving him credit for. I think it's really hard to be pinpoint accurate underneath. I mean, I don't think there's very few guys who could do this.
it's harder
maybe
to
two
do
or three in the NFL.
It's harder to do that than to break 3 tackles and take it to the house.
Yeah, I think in a way you can rely on athleticism where the art of quarterbacking, I'm sorry, Josh Allen has not really mastered that. I think the art of quarterbacking, Brock Purdy is more. Yeah, I
so
think.
now we're giving it to the art of the quarterback.
Yes, I mean, because that's what you want. Yeah, I think.
What about the person who's doing the dirty work and actually getting the yards, moving the chains?
Well, the problem is a lot of times you run into trouble with that. You know, when Josh Allen is trying to make every play, he's playing hero ball, and he's going to throw an interception that is going to give the Cowboys a win on Sunday, and it's really annoying me.
It's possible. But I'm saying about McCaffrey, like that, he's the guy who is
he's a running back.
Taking the ball out of the backfield. He's not, though. He's catching screen passes. He's running routes. I mean, he does everything. Like, if this wasn't so tilted for quarterbacks, I don't think if this was, we could take a time machine back to when guys like Sean Alexander and Adrian Peterson actually won this award. I think everyone would be looking at McCaffrey and being like, what's different about McCaffrey? No running backs getting paid, but he's getting paid. No running backs getting traded for second-round picks, but he's getting traded for. He's leading the all NFL running backs in yards rushing. He's leading all running backs in yards receiving. I mean, he's right there. He's right in front of Tyreek Hill in terms of all-purpose yards. And no one has a problem saying Tyreek Hill should be an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge difference between Adrian Peterson and Christian McCaffrey, though. Adrian Peterson was breaking 4 tackles and going 85 yards. Christian McCaffrey is running through a hole that is 9 yards wide because Trent Williams has just blown off 2 defenders. It's a way different thing than those guys. I mean, Adrian Peterson single-handedly took the Vikings to the playoffs. There was no quarterback. There were no receivers. It was him.
Yeah, but they had a good offensive line.
Nobody remembers any offensive line that was in front of Adrian Peterson because it was, I'm going to hit you, run over you, and keep running. That was Adrian Peterson's style. McCaffrey is a much shiftier guy. He's also pretty tough. I will give you, he breaks tackles, but he does not look at all like Adrian Peterson.
No, but
Adrian Peterson was an 80-yard touchdown run waiting to happen with nobody around. There was nobody on that team except him.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, if I could take a time machine back to when running backs could actually win this award, like if we were still in
if you put
the
McCaffrey,
Marshall Falks and stuff like that, guys who actually could win this award, I think McCaffrey probably would have had one already. It's just now we're so caught up in quarterback. It's like everyone's blind to the fact that there's other people making plays. And the 49ers are the perfect example of how other guys are picking up the quarterback, not the other way around. So why you would give Purdy the MVP of all people is crazy to me.
Yeah, except he's playing the best quarterback in the NFL. And besides, if you're going to give it to a non-quarterback, to not give it to Tyreek Hill, if Hill is healthy enough to play the rest of the year, it's just weird.
Purdy's got more yards than him.
You mean McCaffrey?
I'm sorry, about McCaffrey.
Yeah, but Tyreek Hill is the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL. There's no doubt. I mean, nobody else runs behind safeties like that. Tyreek Hill is an irreplaceable weapon. McCaffrey, you could throw 50 people into that spot.
See, I don't think so, because I think if you could throw 50 people into that spot, they would have still had Raheem Mostert, or they still would have, rolled the dice with an. If you say Kyle Shanahan's system, anyone can do this, right? Any athlete or any half-decent athlete can have this type of success, then why did they go after McCaffrey? They knew they needed his type of versatility.
But if he is so valuable, why was Carolina so crappy?
They're idiots. The Carolina Panthers are one of the worst-run organizations in the entire league. To take anything they do and apply it to the rest of the league is nonsense.
But to Perloff's point, though, Adrian Peterson was at the Vikings. That's not necessarily the New England Patriots or one of these great organizations, and he had them in the playoffs. He was with Tavares Jackson, and he was taking him to the playoffs.
And he hit 200 yards as well. Yeah, I mean 2,000 yards.
Right, exactly.
And they weren't dumb enough to trade him. Like, that's what I'm saying. You can't put McCaffrey's value because the Carolina Panthers decide to get rid of him. They don't know their you-know-what from their elbow over there.
But it's not about them getting rid of him. It's about the fact that they had no success with him. Essentially, that team turned when Cam Newton got old.
Okay, but here's the thing. Look at the splits for when he played versus didn't play. Like, they were a wildly different team. Yeah. How Sam Darnold looked good when they had Christian McCaffrey was healthy and still in Carolina. And Sam Darnold can't beat Brock Purdy out right now for that job.
But
McCaffrey makes everybody look better.
Let me ask you this, Maggie.
Yeah.
If you're the Cowboys or the Eagles, and you could take one player off the offense in that playoff game, who are you taking off?
McCaffrey.
But you're a nut job then. Because
I think Josh Johnson could have won that game against your Eagles last year.
Okay.
He was playing fine until he got hurt, like, almost immediately.
Also, I mean, just the fact that Mostert had 200 yards in a key playoff game, I mean, this system is tailor-made for running backs.
Then why didn't they
Because
stay with Mostert?
Mostert got injured and all. Mostert's
Okay, then why didn't
32.
Then why don't they have Isaiah Pacheco?
I mean,
Why didn't they go to a seventh rounder?
They did for years. They gave up a second-round pick for McCaffrey. It's not like they mortgaged their entire future for this guy.
Dude, and took all his salary
mainly
on.
because he's a good receiver, too. If he was just a straight runner, they never even would have done that.
Making my point.
Good.
Versatility.
Good.
His ability to look at what happens when Brock Purdy throws an interception, or which is rare, but when he throws a bad pass or whatever. Watch what the 49ers do right after. They give it to McCaffrey on 3 straight plays. He's the North Star. He's the compass for them on offense.
But if McCaffrey was out in the playoffs, which, by the way, is very easy to imagine because it happens a lot. It happens a lot. I don't think anyone wants to see the Niners. You just throw in Elijah Mitchell there, and also you have Debo. He's the secret running back weapon. Whenever they need a tough yard, it's not McCaffrey, it's Debo.
It's both. I mean, listen, they looked bad when Debo didn't play in those 3 games, but that was Trent Williams also. And so the left tackle is probably the MVP, but if they're not giving it to running backs, they're not giving it to
Isn't it funny, too, that we're not even talking about the fact that they have an all-time defense? They have 2 Hall of Famers on their defense leading the way, and great players everywhere. They've had a lot of injuries on defense, but they don't even need them. Yeah, it's so funny. Okay, regardless of the MVP thing, there might be 8, 9, 10 Hall of Famers on this team. Teams like that always win the Super Bowl. I feel like this is a Niners year. I feel really nervous. The fact that we're debating 2 players on the team for MVP and having a legitimate, bona fide debate about this says to me the NFC's in trouble. I mean, I love my Eagles, but oh man, I do not know how you're going to slow this team down.
Yeah, when you zoom out a little bit, I think what we're generally saying is that nobody wants to face the 49ers, and rightfully so.
I mean, we even talked about Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead. I mean, geez Louise, can you just slow down on the talent?
I told you they lost Hufanga, and everyone's like, uh-oh, this could be it. I'm like, nothing's it. Nothing's ever, not one injury is never it for the 49ers. Okay, let's get to our Maggie and Perloff picks.
Man, we're there already? Oh.
Yeah, because you have jury duty.
Can I just say that I got robbed last week? Can I explain the situation with you?
Are you about to go Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Blame the refs?
So I took the Jags. When I got them, they were -3. And the Jags come down at the last second to make a game much closer. It's 31-27. They decide to go for 2.
Yeah.
To make it 31-29 because they don't want to go to overtime against the Browns. Of course, they get sacked on their 2-point conversion. So if they just kick the extra point, at least I get a push.
Listen, you love analytics. This is the classic play.
No, but it wasn't a classic play.
This is what Mike Vrabel did on Monday night and played it perfectly.
Everyone said, Doug Peterson, what are you doing? This is not the classic play. They had this amazing comeback. All the momentum was in their favor. All they had to do was tie the game, and they would have won that game. They had stormed back and figured out Joe Flacco. Anyway, regardless. And Doug Peterson, by the way, is wonky. Then the other one was I got Austin Eckler under
We're
rushing
still
total.
On you? Okay.
Yeah. No, listen to this one. This is painful. Bettors will relate to this.
Okay.
Under 49 rushing yards or something like that. He's got 48 yards. They're at the 3-yard line on their last drive. Austin Eckler out of the flat. Easton Stick overthrows him for an easy touchdown. So the next play, they hand it to him. He runs 3 yards in. Boom, over. I lost my bet. 1 and 2.
Ouch.
Betting is brutal.
It is.
Am I going first? Gosh darn it.
You're better at it this year than me. Perloff is 22-20. I am 19-23. Rough season for your girl. So this is how we do it. 1 game against the spread, 1 over/under, 1 player prop.
So
would you like me to go first? We can switch it up a little bit.
Why don't you go first? Because I'm choosing between 2 games that I love. Go ahead.
So this is a tough one for me to justify. Maybe this is why my picks absolutely stink this year. But I think you got to go with desperate teams in weeks like this, especially when you're betting. I do think that plays into it. There are no 2 teams that are more desperate right now than the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts, right? These are 2 teams that are right there for playoffs,
but both teams are desperate. So where are you going?
I'm taking the over.
Oh,
I'm doing my over first
okay.
here, and I'm going over 42.5. Now, this might be the dumbest bet I ever make because I am betting on Mitchell Trubisky and maybe a concussed Gardner Minshew. So I don't feel excellent about that. But I just feel like both teams, especially the Steelers, this has to be the kitchen sink game. You have to do everything in this game because you just lost to 2-win teams in a span of 5 days. So give me Steelers at Indy over 42.5. That's my first pick.
Oh, man. You've got me actually hyped for this game all of a sudden. You liked it
Saturday
earlier in the
afternoon.
show? Yeah. Steelers, Colts, classic. Okay. This stupid weather report lies, by the way.
Yeah, they do
As a
lie.
sad dad, earlier in the week they were saying Cleveland was going to be basically a monsoon. Now the weather's cleared up, but I'd already set my mind on the under 38.5. Browns, Bears. This is a bet against Joe Flacco, and the fact that Matt Eberflus has been dialing up some good defense lately. I'm going under on that one. Justin Fields rightfully makes me a little nervous, playing very well. I like the Bears as a story, but I'll go on the under.
Okay. Next, let's go against the spread here. Give me the Denver Broncos plus 4.5 at Detroit. Two teams kind of feel like they're going in opposite directions here. Detroit's got to get some things figured out, but how do you change your how do you get a better defense at this point in the season? Even if you shore up a little bit, you're still going to allow a lot of points. And Denver's offense, I mean, every week it's a cool Cortland Sutton touchdown reception in a dome. Love this for Russell Wilson. Give me Denver plus the 4.5.
Okay, love it. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. As a longtime Jordan Love enthusiast, this is where Jordan Love figures it out at home against the BUCS. Minus 3.5. The number's a bit bigger than I would prefer, but this is both a Jordan Love endorsement and a I can't believe the BUCS are good statement as well. Maybe they are, but I think Green Bay is in a good position here. The BUCS have been on the road a lot lately, maybe a little bit tired. Had a big emotional win last week. I'm going Packers minus 3.5.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. That one, I saw that. I was like, I just don't know what the Packers are. I have no idea. Okay, finally, player prop here. And again, I like teams that are desperate, okay? So when I like desperate teams, I'm looking at a team like the LA Rams, who are now in a playoff push, who are going to be playing a team that is not desperate at all in the Washington Commanders. Commanders on the road in LA. Give me Puka Nacua over 5.5 receptions in this game. Because again, I think Washington Commanders are a little 1-2-3 Cancun right now. And I think for the Rams, everything's kind of a must win for them, right? Because they have no shot at the division. And you're right there, and the Seahawks are kind of cratering a little bit. So you have a chance right now. So give me Puka Nacua over 5.5 receptions.
I love Puka Nacua probably more than I love any NFL player. He is awesome. Give me a healthy Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford again next year. Build a team around them somehow.
Yeah.
I root for him already anyway. Okay, I'm going against one of your bets.
Bring it on.
I trust that Mike Tomlin's going to have his defense firing on all cylinders against the Colts. I'm going under 1.5 touchdowns for Gardner Minshew with a little bit of caveat that if the Colts are going to win, they're going to want to win on the ground in this game. So I'm not necessarily saying that they don't score any points, but I just do not see Gardner Minshew lighting it up. He'll probably get one chippy to Mo Alley Cox. Is he still there? I love him. I can't remember which AFC South team he's on, but I'm going under 1.5 touchdowns on Gardner Minshew. That doesn't mean the Colts can't win the game or that it's going to go under in total, but I do not see any aerial attack against the Steelers because you're going to be smart if TJ Watt is playing and you're going to want to control the game.
Okay, so let's recap it for you. I have Pitt and Indy. I'm going over 42.5. Might regret that one. I have Denver at Detroit. Give me the Broncos plus the 4.5. And I have Puka Nacua over 5.5 receptions.
Okay, I have Bears and Browns under 38.5. I have the Packers minus 3.5. It was minus 3, by the way, all week. That kills me. And then I have Gardner Minshew under 1.5 touchdown passes.
Okay, can I offer you a side bet?
Please.
You can lower the music. This one's a side bet because I know you've been calling for one thing all week. You've been calling for Andy Reid to bench Kadarius Toney. Okay? After lining up in the neutral zone, you're like, he can't be a part of the offense.
Yeah,
you got to bench him. Okay?
Have him punt return, but you do not put him in the offense.
Okay. I looked it up. This was on Pro Football Focus on their site. They have player props and stuff on there. And I believe, I want to double check it with DraftKings, but the over-under for Kadarius Toney receptions is 1.5.
Yeah. So he usually he's been at a pace of 0 or 1 until last week he exploded against the Bills with 3.
I will take the over on that.
Okay.
I'm assuming you want the under. I
what
want
are the
over
odds?
1.5.
Are there odds? Because usually this might be juice.
I don't think it's juice very much. I think it's -110, something like that.
Okay.
It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, I'll do the under.
You're going to do the under. I'll do the over. Because I think they're going to make a point to go to Tony. And first of all, they're playing against Bill Belichick. The Patriots aren't very good, but what does Belichick do? He takes away the one thing you do well, right? So I imagine Kelsey is going to be the focal point. So they're going to have to spread it around a little bit, and I think they want to make a statement like, hey, Kadarius Toney, we have your back. I don't know why, but we're going to need you or something. I think they're going to force feed a couple to Toney.
Okay, they might give him a screen pass to give him confidence. That's pretty good. That being said, it's supposed to be a disaster of a weather game too. Kansas City, New England. So I'm hoping there's not a lot of passing. I don't feel great about this because you're right. They might give him a chippy just to get him going. That's one.
Well, that's one, but it's 1.5, and I'm taking the over. Side bet me.
I'll side bet you.
Side bet me for breakfast?
Okay. By the way, did you guys get breakfast yesterday?
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
You're good. Thank you for breakfast.
I never Venmoed anybody.
Oh, you have to Venmo EJ.
Yeah, I'll take that money, please.
yeah.
Money,
Not
please.
to do a production meeting on air, but what do you mean? I'm good. Thank you, Maggie. Sorry, EJ. I'm good.
First he was going to Venmo me, but then I was like, I'll just Venmo EJ.
Because Maggie was too busy to order breakfast at the time. Yeah, we should let people know how the sausage is
I ordered
made.
breakfast, brought up Bane the Butcher, ran down, had to get the food, come back up. The elevator situation.
Yeah, you worked up an appetite.
All the days work. I know the elevator. I've been late for jury duty because this elevator won't let me down. This is the most bizarre, surreal. What is just a sentence? I had to go grab Benny the Butcher, and then the elevator was slow, and I couldn't get breakfast. A lot going on in this place.
I know it's tough. They're really tough around here. 855-212-4CBS. All right, those are our picks. You also have the McCaffrey-Purdy MVP conversation. I say it's McCaffrey as MVP. Perloff says it's Purdy. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, including, got a lot more to do with you, including the biggest fallout from last night's blowout Thursday night football game. Nothing to do with any of the players on the field. We'll tell you more about that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Wow. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Carlos, what song is that? I don't know that one. Jury Duty?
It's literally called Jury Duty by OC Supertones.
What year are we talking?
I can tell you right now, just it's 2000s.
Yeah, no, I was going to say this sounds somewhere between 1999 and 2004.
This is middle school for me.
Everything kind of sounds like Blink-182.
So I just want to be clear. I don't just have jury duty. I have grand jury duty.
Well, I can't find a song called Grand Jury Duty.
Yeah, jury duty. Any idiot can go to jury duty and lie and get out of it in 2 days. You could basically say, I'm here to overthrow the government. They'd be like, great. So you'll be here for 4 weeks. They do not care. It's the worst situation. Sorry, I am not allowed to talk about it. Just say I hate it.
I mean, you say that, but when I told my girlfriend that you were in jury duty, she recently had the normal jury duty for idiots, according to Perloff.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, look, in one of my things, someone said, literally, I'm racist. And they still put her on the jury.
No, in New York City, you can't get out of a jury. There's nothing you can say.
They've heard that one before.
Yeah.
They flat out tell you, don't say that you're racist, don't say that you discriminate, because you're just going to sound like an idiot. You're going to go through.
Yeah.
But I got out of it when I said I can't keep a secret. They let me go.
You wouldn't even get to the interview stage of this. Nobody was interviewed for my grand jury. They don't ask you anything. You have this thing where the lawyer, in regular jury, the lawyer comes up to you and asks you some questions about who you are. Grand jury, if you have a pulse, you're on.
That's really, reassuring about the justice system. Okay, last night, massive blowout. Chargers get totally embarrassed. Probably only a matter of time until Brandon Staley is fired. I think he should be fired after last night because even if it's meaningless, like at some point you have to send a message that the standard's a standard. You cannot quit on the season, which is exactly what the Chargers did last night. That's an indictment. So whether it matters, quote unquote, to the bottom line of the Chargers season, you have to do. Sometimes window dressing is important for organizations. If the team didn't show up, you got to fire the coach.
I disagree in the sense that it's not important. There's no impact. We won't even talk. We might talk about it because we do a sports talk radio show if Brandon Staley gets fired. But by the water cooler, we won't even mention it. It's such a fait accompli right now. What's the difference if they do it now or 3 weeks? It's not going to help anything for next year.
Leads to the conversation, though, about the Chargers when this job eventually does open up. And I wouldn't be surprised if the general manager job opens up as well. Let's be real. Is this a good job? And is it the best job of what we believe are going to be the available openings this offseason?
I mean,
yes.
probably it is the best job, but it ain't what it. I do not think it is what people think it is. You know, you have a bunch of stars around. Those are very expensive stars. You're not bringing back this 2018 Pro Bowl team that you have. I don't think Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James go down the list. I'm not sure all those people are going to be back for this team. I think they have to start over at some point.
I still believe this is the best roster because how often do you get a team where the coaching job becomes available when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert? Listen, I've nitpicked on Justin Herbert about end-of-game stuff and him not being able to get the job done, but come on. I mean, I'm not blind. I see that he has all the talent in the world, and he's got the great demeanor for it. Like, this is what I love, why I love Belichick there. I love Belichick getting through to veterans who he can coach hard because they're going to appreciate his resume, right? And the older guys are the ones who are going to remember Belichick's like real heyday, right? When he's really feared. Like, you get off the bus and you feel like, they get off the bus and you feel like they're already up 7-0 because they're the Patriots. Those older guys are going to remember it and it will work on them, I think. And Herbert, to me, is the perfect quarterback for Belichick because he's humble. Like, Brady always was great at getting called out in film sessions and not taking it personally, I guess until the end, and being able to take the criticism because, like, if Belichick can criticize Brady, who am I, right? Like, of course he could criticize me. I think Herbert's like that. He would take it.
I honestly think maybe if Matt Eberflus gets fired in Chicago and comes to the Chargers, that might be a less exciting option for Justin Herbert, but that's about it. I mean, you can suck the fun out of one of the great quarterbacks in the league by bringing Bill Belichick. I hope not. It's going to take 5 years to get Bill Belichick guys. There's no Matthew Slaters on the Chargers. They do everything wrong. There's no Belichick guys on that roster, young, hungry, going to do the right thing. This is a top-heavy roster. It's old. It's slow. And if you let Belichick bring his players, they're terrible. I think this is as like all last stops in NFL careers is going to be a bad one. And listen,
give me a better opening then.
There is no better. I don't know if there's a better opening. I think Belichick's going to fail in his next step. I don't think it matters if it's Chicago, maybe Buffalo if that opens up, which it probably won't. You're saying now. Did they say they were going to bring back McDermott?
I don't know.
Because that's Josh Allen. What are the other openings? The Raiders. That's a very bad situation because of the ownership group.
Could be the BUCS.
The BUCS.
I'm telling you, these are not great options. You have Justin Herbert. I'm giving you good stuff here.
I mean, listen, it depends on your age. If you're a young guy, you probably would want Chicago just to get Caleb Williams in the building. That would be more attractive than the Chargers, I would think. If you're Ben, I think there's some coaches who'd be very interested in that. But then, I don't know. The reason there are coaching vacancies is because the teams are flawed. And I think this Chargers roster is way more flawed than people think. Brandon Staley's a terrible coach. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like Belichick is looking at a perfect team right here, and all of a sudden he's going to recreate Tom Brady's Patriots. There's not a lot of Patriot-like players there.
No, but
you saw it last night.
Justin Herbert, I mean, probably is more talent maybe even than Brady. Brady's obviously the best and the biggest winner and all of that. But if you're just going on like raw skills, like Herbert's got potentially has it all. I think even Brady would say that. Peter Schwartz is here. He's got headlines. Good morning.
You were supposed to do some homework for me.
I got it for you. Why don't you do some headlines and then I'll tell you what I got for you.
We'll interact momentarily. Let's begin with the Thursday night football game and a record-setting offensive explosion from the Raiders.
On second and goal from the 4, O'Connell will swing it to Myers. Myers will throw again into the end zone. It's caught! Devontae Adams with the touchdown! Jacoby Myers' second pass of the night and his third career touchdown pass. And the Raiders have a 48-0 lead.
That was Kevin Kugler on Westwood One. Raiders pound the Chargers 63-21. Head coach Antonio Pierce looked on as his team set a single-game franchise scoring record.
Well, we knew it at halftime what the record was. I was made aware of it, and we were going to be aggressive regardless what the score was. If we only had 21 or 10, we were going to be aggressive. That was our mindset. I talked to our team about it last week, playing better in the second half. I thought we did. This one was playing, full second half and not letting off on the gas pedal, and hats off to them because that was their mindset.
And they were leading 42-0 at halftime, and then they kept their foot on the gas.
Yeah, running trick plays in the third quarter when you're up a jillion.
Yeah, and making the Charger announcers sad in the same way. Aiden O'Connell threw 4 touchdown passes, set It was a team effort offensively.
It was a great job by everybody involved, especially the offensive line. They, fought their butts off. Again, we score points like that. They're not the ones scoring touchdowns. They're just doing the dirty work. So super proud. We had obviously some new guys in there as well. Really, they really led the way tonight.
And if you happen to see Chargers head coach Brandon Staley today, please give him a hug because nothing worked last night.
We just didn't have a good game tonight. We didn't have it from the beginning to the end. It's just one of those games where nothing went right for us. And, we got a good group of guys, but it was just one of those games where all three phases, the worst thing happened to us tonight.
And the Chargers play the Bills next week. We don't know yet if he'll be the head coach at that point.
Maggie, you are always cynical about every Bills game. You cannot
possibly
you can't possibly be nervous about Easton Stick and the Chargers. If you are that, then I'll know that there's no opponent that you will feel comfortable against.
No, I don't want them to, if they fire Staley, get a new coach bump. But that's just because I'm paranoid.
And unless Paul Brown is coming out of the grave to coach, there's no new coach bump here.
That's funny.
I think you always have to be worried.
Yeah.
No, you do not. You do not.
Absolutely.
I'm with Perloff. There's no reason to be worried about this loser Charger team.
The only thing is that it's on the road, so it's in LA. I don't know. Who cares? Let's get through this week first. Bill's got a big game against Dallas Cowboys, guys.
That team. I forgot. Yeah.
A small team. You may have heard of them.
What if they beat the Cowboys and lost to the Chargers? Oh,
don't say
so
stuff
funny.
like that.
So that could happen.
Not funny.
That could happen.
That technically could happen. It's not going to happen.
Maggie's getting very upset.
No, I don't want to. I'm la, fingers in the ears. I don't want to hear it.
Now to baseball. Dodgers formally introduced Shohei Ohtani at a press conference at Dodger Stadium yesterday. He's happy to be wearing Dodger blue.
To play here and believe in me as a baseball player, and especially these 5 guys that I'm about to mention, starts with Mark Walter, Andrew Friedman, Stan Kasten, Brandon Gomes, and Dave Roberts.
And that was Ohtani through an interpreter. He signed a 10-year deal worth $700 million.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is how you can tell it's the interpreter. First of all, Ohtani doesn't do interviews in English, but you'd think if you just signed $700 million, you'd sound a little perkier.
Yeah.
This guy has no juice whatsoever. It's like, did he just roll out of bed? Meanwhile, Ohtani's up there, and when you actually hear him in Japanese, it's energetic. He sounds very happy, because why wouldn't you be? And the interpreter's probably getting paid $20 an hour. It's just like, whatever.
I was going to say the interpreter sounds like he just found out he's getting nothing of that $700 million. He's getting no cut.
Nothing. Not now, not in the year 2035, not in the year 2045.
No percentage.
But do you think now that he's got the big deal, he can get better lessons to learn English?
I think he already knows English.
I think all these guys do it.
Yeah,
of course.
It's an act.
Yeah, you're wearing a Yankee sweatshirt here. Masahiro Tanaka definitely knew English.
Yes, and I think Matsui. Funny thing really quick about Matsui. I was working for another radio station years ago. We were doing this promotion. We were giving out Bruce Springsteen tickets. And they had me, as the station's reporter, go to various sports games and venues and press conferences, and they wanted me to get famous celebrities, athletes, whatever, to tell me who their what their favorite Bruce Springsteen song is.
Yeah.
So I'm at a Yankees game, and I ask around people in the Yankee organization, who do you know on the team that's a big Bruce Springsteen fan? They said Hideki Matsui.
Wow.
Go talk to him. He doesn't speak English, though. So I go to the interpreter. The interpreter then asks him. He's willing to do it. The interpreter wrote out what Matsui had to say in Japanese, but in English. In other words, he was saying it in English, but he was reading it in Japanese. And I'm like, he knows exactly. When I was telling the interpreter what I needed, Matsui was nodding and he was smiling. It's absolutely yes. Let's do it. So
what'd he say?
He said, "Born to run."
What a cliche.
Well, I mean,
I expect more out of Matsui.
That is so predictable.
You want a Matsui to do deep cuts on Bruce Springsteen?
Of course, if you're a real
Darkest
fan.
on the edge of town, something. Be broody Hideki Matsui.
Was Born in the USA not available to him? Well, I guess that wouldn't make
sense.
sense.
That wouldn't make sense for him.
I'm getting yelled at by the baseball people in this building because I said that the Dodgers lineup is easy to solve. And they said, you don't know what you're talking about. But look at this. They go Mookie, Shohei, Freddie Freeman, and then it falls off like a cliff. Will Smith, Max Muncy, Jason Hayward.
All-star.
Yeah, these guys are
former
good.
All-star.
Jason Hayward. I could strike out Jason Hayward.
As a Cubs fan, we couldn't wait to get rid of Hayward.
Please. Will Smith's like a 260 hitter. Like that is
All-star last year. You can't go at batting average.
Yeah,
batting averages.
But he's a catcher. Will Smith. You're telling me if I'm pitching the Dodgers, I'm walking Mookie, I'm walking Shohei, and I'm walking Freddie Freeman, and then let the rest of the lineup beat me.
Okay, so you have bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, but
right where you want him.
I'm not scared of the rest of the lineup. They're way too Watch the strategy. You do not want to pitch to Mookie, and you don't want to pitch to Shohei. In fact, I'm fine pitching to Freeman, who's awesome. But I tell you, Shohei, you avoid. That dude will crush anything anywhere near the plate. But that's a problem with baseball. You can pay $700 million or whatever. One guy can only make so much impact, unlike Christian McCaffrey in the Niners.
The hill I will die on.
Let's turn our attention to the NBA. We'll start in Denver.
Peyton Watson has it on the high left side. Dribble handoff over to Hunter Tyson. Top of the key, Pickett. Pickett gets a pick from Najee. Moves off of that. Peels off to the high right side. Back over to Najee for three. Money! 124 to 101. 23-point lead for Denver. Difference between game and shot clock is 13 seconds.
Jason Kosmicki, Nuggets Radio. Nuggets over the Nets, 124-101. Nikola Jokic with a triple-double, 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Also last night, James Harden had a big night, 28 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds. Clippers over the Warriors, 121-113. College football. Alabama has reportedly hired former Michigan assistant George Hilo ahead of their semifinal college football playoff matchup against Michigan. Hilo was Michigan's linebackers coach in 2021 and 2022, so a little gamesmanship going on here.
Old school. Love it. You hire the guy who worked for the coach you're going to play against, and the interesting tidbit is that the linebacker coach who that guy was replaced by, it was Chris Patridge, who was the fall guy for the Connor Stallions, besides Connor, that is, the other fall guy who got fired by Michigan over the sign-stealing scandal. Okay, quickly, Peter, we don't have a lot of time here, but I'm going to give you, would you like the 3 things you should ask for between now and whenever you're going to get this marshmallow fluff put all over your body?
8 o'clock Eastern time tonight.
Okay, you are refusing to wear a singlet, yet you're saying yes to putting marshmallow fluff all over you.
Yes.
To be Schwartzy the Snowman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what are you wearing?
T-shirt and shorts.
All right, you're so close. You're right there. Okay, this is what I would do if I were you, and just go right back over to Boomer and Gio, and this is the way you got to negotiate. Say, I'll wear the singlet, but I want one thing to happen, and I'm going to give you a couple options, and you tell me which one you like.
Okay.
Okay, number 1, you'd like Boomer Esiason, former MVP of the NFL, to call Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano on behalf of your son to get him a meet and greet one-on-one with your son, who's the long snapper, who's looking for a Division I scholarship.
Yep.
Schiano just signed an extension. He's not going anywhere. You would like Boomer to make an introduction between your son Bradley, right?
Yes.
And Greg Schiano. That's one option.
I'm liking that so far, yes.
Okay. Number 2, you're asking for a meet and greet with Aaron Judge and a signed bat. And you wear the singlet. They can make that happen over there. Don't let them tell you they can't.
Okay.
And number 3 of your option on this buffet platter of things you could try to negotiate for yourself, you get to drive the Zamboni at an Islander game.
Wow. See, those are 3 really good things.
3 really good things. Just pick one and say, I'll wear the singlet if I get one of these things. And you can thank me later.
Wow. Those are 3 really good things to think about.
You're welcome.
So what are you going to do? Or does he have to make a choice?
I have to think about it. They have 18 minutes before they go off the air.
But we got 30 seconds before we got to go to break.
I would take the meet and greet for my son.
Boom. There you go.
With Schiano, because I would not be selfish in that situation.
Isn't that nice? He gets to meet Schiano. You get to make a good impression. Maybe.
Yeah, but Boomer might turn that around though and say he'll introduce him to the Maryland coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you get?
Oh, do you want to go to
aim
Maryland?
a little higher than Rutgers.
Why? But Rutgers is a bowl game. They're
both
bowl eligible.
Big Ten teams. They're playing at Yankee Stadium in a couple of weeks. Going to the game.
Football, Rutgers. Come on, people.
No, but then
Don't
Peter
give me
also
that
gets
crap.
to watch them all the time.
Don't sell me, you New York people, Rutgers football. Come on, let's get them to a real program.
Maryland's
Boomer's got
big power.
Boomer's got connections everywhere.
Maybe Mayo.
I need Bradley to get to a college where he's going to get a great education and have a chance to play.
Okay, both of those schools, maybe.
Yeah.
But I listen, you get your hometown kid. Look at Tommy DeVito. Everyone loves a hometown dude on the roster.
Speaking of Tommy DeVito,
Bradley
I think
Cutlets.
we have the new best agent in the New York area, Maggie Gray.
You're welcome.
Forget about
By the
Tommy
way-
Cutler's agent. Look at what Maggie's negotiating right now.
How are his grades? Because I might be able to
He
get
just
him.
made the high honor roll in school.
Okay, what's his SAT? Because I can get him a Dartmouth look if you want.
It's 4 digits. I'm not exactly sure what the number was exactly.
Which 4 digits?
What does it start with?
It definitely started with a 1. It definitely started with a
Truth
1.
is, I could never get him in an interview with Dartmouth. That was just tough.
Mine
was just
did
a humble
not.
brag.
Mine did not. Bradley's did.
Which one are you going to pick? You're gonna the interview with Shiano.
I think we got to get Bradley into a Division I school.
The meet and greet with Shiano.
Yeah,
you know it kills him not to pick the Zamboni, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Here's the other thing why I'd pick Rutgers or Maryland. Maryland's cycling through coaches. Yeah. Promises there. I don't know what they mean.
Not crazy about Mike Loxley.
Shiano's
I can tell you,
retire in that program.
Bradley went to the Rutgers prospect camp in June and got to work out in front of their coaches at Rutgers Stadium. So that would be a cool place to see him play.
Boom. You're welcome.
Food trucks, all that stuff. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, thank you so much.
You're
Have
so
fun
disgusted.
tonight.
Rutgers football is nauseating. And New York is trying to claim they have college football in their town. They do not.
Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you for your help.
Appreciate that, and can't wait to see the photos of you covered in marshmallow fluff. We still have a lot to do here. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio, including we answer one big question before bowl season begins tomorrow. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You are refusing to wear a singlet, yet you're saying yes to putting marshmallow fluff all over you.
Yes.
That was the sound of Peter Schwartz doing updates for us this morning. He's got a big night ahead of him. Again, marshmallow fluff put all over him for a couple Yankees tickets. I thought he could have gotten way more. So hopefully he takes my advice and negotiates a little harder. Get some more perks for what he's going to do. Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff has gone to jury duty, quote unquote. So here's the thing. You look at the NFL this weekend, and I believe that the one person individually who is facing the most pressure in Week 15 has got to be Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
And I don't believe that he necessarily will be fired if they have a bad season, because that's not how the Steelers do things. But can you imagine losing 3 games in a row, back-to-back games with teams who have won only 2 games at home? You lose both of those games. Then you go on the road and you lose to the Indianapolis Colts, a team that is right there in the playoff hunt along with you, and you lose 3 in a row. This is going to be sky is falling. And even if the Steelers have an excuse with Mitchell Trubisky starting at quarterback, I don't think that the fan base is going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think that anyone is going to care. And listen, I say that I don't think Tom would get fired, but that's just because I've been conditioned by the Steelers to not expect these kind of coaching changes. That doesn't mean it won't happen. That just means a lot of us might be surprised if it does. And I don't think this organization, they don't have rabbit ears. They are very consistent. But I ask you, I mean, if there was ever a time for a coach to legitimately be on the hot seat, wouldn't this be it for Tomlin?
Yes.
His fault that he kept Matt Canada around as long as he did. His fault that Kenny Pickett hasn't developed. Now he's hurt, so we'll see what happens. I mean, at some point, doesn't the head coach have to answer for this kind of thing? So I believe that Mike Tomlin is feeling the most pressure of anyone this weekend. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. And I love Fridays because that's Casamigos Day in my house, along with Saturday. Today's shot of the day, we were talking about wearing singlets, wrestling singlets, because that's our big show bet that's going to start off 2024. Me and EJ versus Perloff. Who wears the singlet, depending on whether Michigan wins or loses against BAMA. Well, we were asking who else needs to wear singlets, which led to our own Andrew Bogish just bursting through the door. Andrew Bogish just burst into the studio like the Kool-Aid man. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Where you been the last 2 hours, by the way?
Fair question. And I just realized that I'm listening outside on like a 30-second delay, so I might be a little behind on this, but I just wanted to comment on Peopleati. I can confirm already wears a singlet daily under his clothes just in case. So this is not a bad thing or a loss for Bellotti.
That's a commitment to the bit.
He's just ready.
But the reason
in case anyone comes in,
a ladder match breaks out, he's ready to go.
The wrestler that he'll look like, can we all say it? He's George the Animal Steel, basically.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, who is ironically a professor in his side job or something. George, and he passed away. Yeah, he passed away. Peopleati is basically, he's going to be eating turnbuckles before long.
Yes.
Listen, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I think Pilotti's got the right idea. You never know when Vince McMahon's going to walk through that door, when Tony Khan's going to walk through that door and be like, I need you in my next pay-per-view.
I love that he has a singlet like wrestlers have the Money in the Bank briefcase, like just ready to go no matter what.
It could be any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, to keep an eye out. Also, I'm looking at George the Animal Steele here online.
Crazy dude.
Do we think Pete's that hairy?
Not as hairy, but the baldness and the shape, I think we're more in the line with.
And that is our cue to giddy up on out of here. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, yes, and Peter Schwartz and Andrew Kaplan. Weedos, coffee drinkers. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. We'll see you Monday.
You're in a 5-minute break.